Chair, it's 1 o'clock.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting. We are going to start off with the invocation, then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor, I told you that backwards. So if our pastor today is Ernie Todd from Calvary Chapel, and leading the pledge for us is Michael Belkin. In between, or actually, let's do that before. We're going to take a moment of silence. If you haven't heard, former Judge Trish Thomas has passed away. So if you all are able and willing, would you kindly stand, have a moment of silence, and then our pastor will say the invocation, and then we'll do the pledge. Thank you.
If you would all join me in a moment of silence for Judge Trish Thomas, just to reflect upon her years of service to us and comfort for her family during this difficult time, please. Oh, precious Heavenly Father, Lord, we love you. We just have so much to be thankful for. Father, all you've done for us, oh Lord God, we could never repay you. But Lord, we just thank you so much for our military overseas that is preserving our way of life, oh Lord. It's not an easy job for them, oh Lord, but we pray and we ask that you would strengthen them. And Father, for Citrus County here, Lord, such a beautiful place to live. And I thank you so much for the county commissioners, oh Lord. For all the work that they do, Father, we pray and we ask that you would give them the wisdom, oh Lord, the wisdom of Solomon to run this county, the faith of Abraham, and the strength of Samson, oh Lord, to stay resolute in their decisions about what is best for our county. Now, Father, we ask that you would pour out your spirit of wisdom today, oh Lord, as we sit and discuss county business. And we ask all this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Mr. Belkin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk?
This is a regular meeting of the Citrus County Board of County Commissioners, 14th day of July, 2026. In attendance are Chair Diana Finnegan, First Vice Chair Janet Barrick, Second Vice Chair Jeff Kennard, Commissioner Rebecca Bays, Commissioner Holly Davis, County Administrator Steve Howard, and County Attorney Denise A. Diamond Lynn.
Thank you. And Mr. Howard, additions or deletions?
Yes, we do have a couple. I-1, the public hearing local provider participation fund ordinance, that ordinance has been added. Also E10, Nature Coast Resiliency Project, an opportunity, it's time sensitive for a grant. Those are my only items.
Board?
Madam Chair, I spoke with staff earlier and I'd like to pull E1A. They're going to bring it back with some additional information at, I believe, the next meeting.
E1A. Mr. Howard, is that time sensitive?
I think we talked with staff. I talked earlier today. Jessica's in the audience. Is that okay, Jessica? Yeah, she's had some discussions. We're fine.
I'm sorry, did you
She
say
said yes.
fine?
She's shaking her head, but she said we can wait till the next meeting.
We could wait till the next
Yes.
meeting. Okay. Anything else, Board? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move approval of the agenda with the additions and of the pulling of E1A.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bays, second by Commissioner Davis. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Proclamations and awards.
Motion to approve B1, B2, and B3.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bays, second by Commissioner Barrick. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, board, let's go out front.
Would all those representing Colonel Curtis Ebbets Day please make your way forward? Whereas Colonel Curtis Ebbets, United States Army retired, has devoted his life to the service of his country and community through distinguished military leadership and decades of civic involvement. And whereas Colonel Ebbets honorably served 28 years on active duty in the United States Army as an infantry officer and foreign area officer, specializing in Latin America, exemplifying dedication, patriotism, and leadership throughout his military career. And whereas following his military career, Colonel Ebbets continued his unwavering commitment to Citrus County through extensive volunteer leadership and community service, including serving a president and founder of the Citrus County Veterans Foundation, Incorporated Vice President of the Military Officers Association of America, Citrus Chapter, founder, Commander Emeritus, and Adjutant of Aaron A. Weaver, Chapter 776. Military Order of the Purple Heart, co-founder and member of the Save Our Waters Week Committee, Pride Award Chair for Keep Citrus County Beautiful, and as a 33-year member and past chairman of the Citrus County Veterans Appreciation Week, while also serving on the Oak Hill Hospital Community Advisory Council. And whereas Colonel Ebbets has additionally dedicated 27 years of thoughtful civic engagement and public service as a member of the Citrus County Chronicle Editorial Board, beginning in May 1999, helping to foster informed discussion, civic awareness, and community dialogue throughout Citrus County. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners wishes to recognize and honor Colonel Curtis Ebbets upon his retirement from the editorial board and to express the gratitude of the citizens of Citrus County for his extraordinary lifetime of service. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, that the 14th day of July 2026 be designated as Colonel Curtis Ebbets Day, and encourage all citizens to recognize and celebrate his many contributions to our nation, our veterans, and the Citrus County community, executed this 14th day of July 2026.
Well, first of all, I have only been ambushed once before in my life. And that was when I was a lieutenant platoon leader of an infantry platoon in Vietnam when a company of Main Force Viet Cong ambushed us. And I vowed then, never again. So this came to me as a complete shock. And I certainly appreciate the thoughtfulness behind it. And I must say, everything that I was able to accomplish, both in the military and in my post-military days, has only been with the support of others that we work together as a team. And one of the, it's been a real pleasure. We chose to live in Citrus County many years ago, 35 years ago. And the more we live here, the more we love it. So again, to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules and for your kindness and thoughtfulness, thank you.
Would all those representing Run for the Money Week for the Key Training Center please make your way forward? Whereas on Monday, July 20th, 2026, the Key Training Center and a nonprofit organization will host its 50th annual Run for the Money, starting at the state capitol in Tallahassee and finishing 6 days later at the center's main campus in Lecanto, Florida, with a community celebration. And whereas this 180-mile run, initiated in 1976 by longtime executive director Chet Cole, aims to raise awareness about the challenges faced by individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and to advocate for the right to live with kindness, love, dignity, and respect. And whereas the Tallahassee Run, averaging 30 miles per day in conjunction with our local community run group, 180 cycle team, virtual teams, and Walk a Mile in My Shoes event, has achieved an astonishing collective distance of 21,533 miles. This year's goal is to log an additional 3,355 miles, making the total equivalent to circumnavigating the globe. This incredible journey has been made possible by the unwavering dedication and spirit of our volunteers. And whereas the first year the run raised a modest $6,000, while last year's event soared to a remarkable cumulative total of more than $6.6 million. These vital funds directly support up to 30 individuals year-round, many of whom receive little to no state funding for essential services. These funds provide crucial resources and support to nearly 300 adults. Whereas we invite the community to join us for a fun night of food, and fundraising at our 60th I Am the Key anniversary themed dinner auction on Friday, July 17th, 2026 at the Chet Cole Enrichment Center. Now therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida proclaims July 20th through July 25th, 2026 as Key Training Center's Run for the Money Week in Citrus County to recognize the center's longstanding commitment to those serving those with I/DD. Executed this 14th day of July, 2026.
The button. I should understand, push the button. My name's Melissa Walker, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Key Training Center. Of course, when we ever have the opportunity to come in front of our board and county, we like to come in full force. So we're sorry we take 2 rows back there, I think. So the Key Training Center celebrates its 60th anniversary this year of empowering those with special needs to grow, thrive, and to reach their fullest potential. It began in 1966 with a small group of dedicated parents, and it has now transformed into vital supports for families here in Citrus County, and also we support counties around us. The Run for the Money celebrates its 50th anniversary, and that's of the 180-mile week-long journey from Tallahassee to Lecanto. And that is all in efforts to bring awareness to individuals with special needs in addition to raising needed funds. The Run for the Money has now, with all of the runners, the walkers, the cyclers, because this has just grown over the years, we have accumulated over 19,000 miles. And with 3,000 plus miles, I think it's like 3,555.01 miles, we will officially be able to say we have gone around the world. So I want to say that the Key would not be here today without our county, without our businesses, without our volunteers, without our families, and the community support. So we thank you.
Would all those representing Smart Irrigation Month please make your way forward? Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County recognizes water in a finite resource that is vital to human life, and whereas well-maintained green spaces are important to the health and well-being of communities and individuals, appropriate irrigation technology combined with best practices can significantly reduce water usage and runoff while creating healthy lawns, landscaping, and sports turf. The adoption of smart irrigation practices further improves the water use efficiency. And whereas July is a peak month for irrigation water use, the Citrus County Department of Water Resources encourages citizens to install WaterSense labeled smart irrigation controllers for increased water efficiency. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County hereby declares that July should be designated as Smart Irrigation Month. To recognize the advances in irrigation technology and practices that help raise healthy plants and increase crop yields while using water more efficiently, in addition to encouraging the adoption of smart irrigation practices to further improve water use efficiency in agricultural, residential, and commercial activities, executed this 14th day of July, 2026.
Well, thank you, Commissioners, for declaring July Smart Irrigation Month. It's more important now than ever as we're in an extreme Phase 3 water shortage order to bring awareness to how we can save water. Outdoor irrigation takes up 50% of our public water supply. And one of the most effective ways that we can reduce that is by installing smart irrigation, water sense labeled irrigation controllers. Through the first 8 phases of the county's program, we've saved on average 30%, or I should say citizens have, of their pre-water use compared to their post-water use after it's installed. So smart technology is very important, and I just wanted to make everybody aware that they can adopt that and install it. Thank you.
Okay, it's time for our public hearing for the Local Provider Participation Fund Ordinance.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I will read the ordinance into the record. Chair, did you want to do A of that, which is to call the public hearing?
Sure, Board, I think she would like a motion on A, which is conduct the public hearing.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bays, second by Commissioner Davis. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Madam Attorney?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. At the conclusion of this public hearing, Commissioners, you're going to be asked to consider an ordinance of Citrus County, Florida, amending Chapter 86, Article 6, Local Provider Participation Fund, amending Section 86-61 entitled Authority, amending Section 86-62 entitled Purpose, amending 86-64 entitled Definitions, amending Section 86-66 entitled Assessment, amending Section 86-67 entitled Computation of Assessment, providing for severability, providing for inclusion into the code, providing for modifications that may arise from consideration at public hearing, and providing for an effective date. At this time, you'll just have the public hearing.
Would anyone from the public care to speak on this agenda item? We're on I-1. It was a 1:10 time certain public hearing for the Local Provider Participation Fund Ordinance. I'll give you all a minute to look that over. If you'd like to speak, now is your time. Please come up. You'd have 3 minutes at the podium. Welcome, Mr. Ao.
Hello. Regarding this, I'm just befuddled. I have no idea what we're going to do. Conduct a coordinate for what? Chapter 86 of special assessments, but it doesn't make it clear to us. We are the public, and we have no idea what you're going to be having a hearing about.
Okay. One, this was in the backup information.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and two, could someone just give a brief synopsis? You could probably explain it better than I.
Yeah. We have representatives here that we can ask to come up to the podium if the board would like a brief introductory.
Board, it seems like at least one member of the public would like that. Anybody opposed to that?
Chair,
Yes,
he
ma'am.
didn't state his name.
Mr. Ao, would you kindly state your name and the record and where you're from?
Oh, Anthony Ao, 5432 North Pecos Terrace, Beverly Hills, Florida, 34465.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
We did include in the backup material your presentation materials, and they start at page 913 of your agendas.
Perfect. Hello, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Colleen Ernst, and I am with a company that supports hospitals across the state of Florida. Here locally, we work with the TGH facility as well as HCA, so supporting hospitals, particularly as they provide care to those who are low income, either charity care cases or Medicaid recipients. So the special assessment, one thing that I think is always important to clarify, does not result in any individual citizen getting a bill. This is not a special assessment on individual properties. This is not something that anyone in here is going to see. This is an assessment on hospital properties only. So the hospital properties receive an assessment, and as a result of their assessment dollars, they'll qualify for federal funding that's available in order to enhance reimbursement when they're providing care to low-income individuals. So the hospitals are able to pay this assessment. Those dollars become the state share of the Medicaid program, of these Medicaid payments, and then those dollars qualify for federal money that historically the state of Florida had left on the table. And so it's a way for hospitals here to continue investing in the community, to continue providing high quality care to all individuals regardless of income. And quite frankly, it's a great tool to do this because it isn't forcing general revenue to come out of the county's coffers, because it is just the special assessment only on hospital properties. Now, there are always changes happening at the federal level, and so there are a few adjustments to the language that's in there today, just to make sure that we are keeping up with the state and federal requirements. So it's always an ongoing initiative to make sure things stay current. The state continues to try to perfect this and make sure it does continue working for the state of Florida. But it's been an excellent tool. It's been here in Citrus County since 2021. Again, has never resulted in a bill for individual citizens. And in fact, there is language in the ordinance that says hospitals can't have a surcharge on patients in order to pay the assessment. So it's coming from the hospital. It's not resulting in any kind of increased burden on anyone here, but it allows the hospitals to pull in that federal money. This is your tax money you've already paid to the federal government. Let me tell you, California and New York know how to bring it in, so this is Florida doing its part to keep the dollars coming back to the state.
Well said, thank you. So, Madam Attorney, when you said open it to the public, I assume there wasn't going to be a presentation, then it was just okay. So I think that's well said, Mr. Ao. Because we did not have any information or presentation, I will allow you additional time if you had some questions at this point.
Yes. Okay. So this ordinance is some kind of funding for the hospitals or some kind of surplus? Okay. We need to be very hard on these hospitals, HCA and TGH. The quality of care is suboptimal. I can give you numerous horrifying stories that I personally witnessed. Okay, I was just at TGH emergency room because I fell and fractured my arm and got a bunch of problems.
Madam Chair.
They billed.
Yeah.
Seems these are comments would be more appropriate for general open to the public because they're not.
I'm addressing the hospitals. We need to require that there is oversight on the quality of care. The people of Citrus County are being underserved. They speak about high quality. Oh my gosh, nurses don't know the difference between a vein and an artery. okay? This is some serious stuff
Madam
going on
Chair,
in these
this is out
hospitals.
of line.
So you need to institute oversight on the quality of the care that these hospitals provide in this county. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Kennard, we may not always like what the person has to say, but if it's somewhat on target, he has freedom of speech, and I'm not going to quiet him. I understand your concerns. Thank you. Mr. Ao, I do hope that you reach out to each individual hospital with your concerns. This board, as you know, is limited to address some of those. Thank you. Anyone else open to the public? Or excuse me, the public portion of this? Okay, with that, I will close it. Board?
Motion to approve item I-1B.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further board comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, moving along, we have a time certain at 1:15. We're on I-2, and that's for library services, community needs, and facility assessment. We have a presentation, I believe. Hi there.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Adam Chang, Library Services Director. And over the past 6 months, we've been working with Rethinking Libraries to complete a community needs assessment for our library system. And our goal really was intended to be able to help ensure that as we move forward with our library system, we're prioritizing and investing in the things that the community is looking for in their library system. Our libraries are here for our community, and I want to make sure that they continue to grow with our community and meet the needs of what our citizens are looking for. So we wanted to identify things such as what was working well, understanding emerging needs, challenges, any service gaps our library system has. And the project was funded through library impact fees. And with all this information that we collected, our project is going to help us shape our strategic plan and our master plan for library services, intended to lead our libraries forward for the next 5 to 20 years. And it also created a baseline by providing data for us to be able to benchmark other libraries around the county, or not county, other libraries around other counties around the state, as well as nationwide as well. So we wanted to get that baseline of data as well. And I do want to thank everybody that helped work on this project with us, from staff to everyone that took time to provide feedback. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Rob Cullen from Rethinking Libraries to give his presentation on the results from our community needs assessment. So thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Cullen. Thank you, Mr. Chang.
Thank you. Is this the clicker? It is, okay. Oops. Can I go back? There we go. Sorry, wrong button. There we go. Okay. So thank the commissioners for making some time for this, and appreciate also thanks to everyone in the community, the advisory board, the staff, the community members that showed up and participated in this process. We had really great participation. So our role was to facilitate this assessment, to provide the data analysis, and then facilitate a retreat of community members, staff members, library boards members, community leaders, for them to really go through and synthesize and provide this information, and then just turn all of their recommendations into the kind of final recommendations of the report. So we had really broad participation in the process. The survey was one of our 10 highest ever participation rates for the work we do, and we work with libraries nationally. And we did a lot of other data analysis. You can kind of see here, it's a well over 100-page report that kind of details all this and all the information we found. And ultimately, what we heard was, the community highly values this library. They really value what the library does, and they really depend on it. And that the community feels like, and the data shows, that this library, despite having somewhat lower funding, is really performing well and delivering great value to the community. But it's also running behind in terms of space, in terms of some of those resources and such. So that was kind of the gist, and we presented some of that data and findings and the public input to that group. And then through that, we found that there is a strong interest, that the community has a strong interest in mobile services. They have a strong interest in better access to service up north in the county. and trying to get the library services more on par, not just with the libraries in Florida, but with libraries across the country. Particularly trying to keep up with the fast growth that's happening here. And the library continues to grow. So that workshop that we help facilitate and run, which had that broad participation. This is just some of the products that kind of came out of that, some of the dot voting. We did not have any vote in that, right? So we did not control the process. We didn't have any say in what the final recommendations were. We were just running that process and then helping them turn that into the results. So the biggest piece being that the kind of guidance out of this is that the library does probably need an additional location somewhere in the northern part of the county. And that would then also not only helps better serve the community members in the northern part of the county, but Central Ridge, which is dramatically the busiest and really exceeding kind of its capacity to deliver to its residents that are using it, would take some of the pressure off of there, and but also free up some space from moving the administrative staff to the new location so that that space could be expanded for public within that space that's currently being handled by admin. Long-term also, I think there's some interest in getting some mobile services that could reach the more outlying areas of the county that are never going to be super close to a location, but could really utilize and benefit from those library services. So that's kind of the high level. So Citrus Springs area, ideally near a middle school or high school up that way. We probably, looking at the numbers, it looks like maybe something in the 20,000 square foot range. That could run, depending on what's going on with construction and the level of design, $12 to $18 million, which we know, particularly with everything going on right now in Florida, might be a tough ask. But we're just trying to present the information and see where share with you the information of where the desires are, operational impacts and costs for that as well. In addition, just not to, because we were looking at all the facilities and looking at everything, there are some ongoing needs too. The Central Ridge that we talked about is the most behind the curve in terms of space, and kind of where its spaces are in terms of quality will need some attention. Homosassa is pretty good space-wise, but the age of the building is getting to the point where you need to be doing some capital planning for that in the medium term. Floral City is small, but it's really well used. And so it could use just some smaller investments in just making its space more flexible. The lakes and coastal upgrades that were recently led by the library staff, I think in our opinion, did a really great job at a really amazing price point of really bringing those systems into the needs of the community, and really at a really low investment for the county, getting those spaces up to date. So that was kind of just the highlights. Lots of more information in the whole report, but welcome any questions that you might have about the process, recommendations, or anything that would come out of that.
Thank you for the presentation. Board, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Commissioner Barrick.
Okay, in my mind, maybe I'm wrong, our libraries need to be a resource center, okay? That means that when I looked at the things that the people put in here,
Yeah.
creative arts resources, that should be Parks and Recs. We have buildings that should be open day and night to do that, okay? Outdoor programs, that I thought, maybe, okay, for a library, but I'm looking at a library, what it should be doing. Okay, cultural and literary, no problem. Mobile library, yes, I can see we need a mobile library because it is hard to get to the libraries if you're not mobile.
Yeah.
And a lot of our older people can't get there, but would really like the services. Expanded youth areas, that's okay, because we need to get spaces for them to sit, do their work, do all of and they need a special area where they can do their research, so that when they go in there, not all the computers are taken, that they can have, these are the high school kids' computers, or these are the junior high kids' computers, and they need to be set so that when they go in there, they can do the research they need to do. Okay, as for makerspace, that's either Parks and Recs or we have a makerspace thing on 44 and Crystal River. It doesn't have anything to do with a library. Technology resources. I was sort of, we do have to have the resources, but we don't have to have the training there. Okay, dedicated teen spaces, yeah, okay. bookstore. Now that, nobody wanted a bookstore, but we should offer that to the people. If they would like to purchase a book that we have, we should be able to say, okay, this is what we pay for it. We can order it for you and then get it for them, because sometimes people do like to buy books. Quiet spaces, you gotta have quiet space in a library. And they are at Central Ridge, few and far between. Okay, new outlet. I live in Citrus Springs, and yes, we have a very small standalone library that is, run by a trust fund. And like I said, very small standalone. So our students have to go over to Central Ridge. So you're getting Beverly Hills, Central Ridge, you're getting Pine Ridge, you're getting Citrus Hills. It's not just one area that you're getting the people from that go to that.
Right.
They come from Hernando. So yes, I agree that we do need that northern one. A new southern one, at this point, the population isn't being put into the southern part of the county, so.
Right.
And stay the current course, yes and no. We need to find funding so that we can increase what we have, because yes, our libraries do need some assistance, but we need to realize libraries need to be a resource center, whether it's for young kids, high school kids, college kids, or adults. But it's not a training center. That's what Withlacoochee is for, that's what the high schools are for. And it needs to do more of let them, people come and research and research and research. So I think we're on the right course, but we need to start thinking new libraries, so we need to start putting funds, and we need to talk about that and setting new funds aside. Because that is gonna be a major thing, especially if all the houses that have been approved, or dwelling units that have been approved, are built. The Central Ridge will not be able to help any of those people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bass?
One of the suggestions in Floral City, which is my district, they would like to see more hours.
Yeah, heard personally in the engagement sessions, and what I saw was as much when those hours were, as much as it was like total hours available, that they wanted more flexibility, more after kind of work and weekend hours is what we kind of heard in that process.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I just had one thought when I looked over your presentation for the mobile library. If there is such a thing that brings books to people, we already have a transit system. So the transit system, instead of just bringing books to people, we could bring the people to books, services, and community.
Sure.
Just something to think about.
Yeah, there was a presentation at one of the library conferences this spring where Bowling Green actually shifted their money from their kind of traditional bookmobiles to a bus in partnership with the American Red Cross, and they focused on actually getting people to the library and filling some of the gaps actually in their local transit system. So there definitely are a few models out there that kind of try to reverse that process. So it's definitely something that's out there in the mix.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Barrick?
With the mobile one, have you gotten with the transit department, because they're getting their new buses, instead of them doing what they're doing, recycle them to the library because they're already paid for.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think that should be.
You may want to touch base with Ms. Granger, because she does have a couple buses coming online, some new ones, and she has some going offline. So if we communicate with other departments, you may be able to find some resources at a reduced price.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of creative ways to solve the mobile library approach, right? And I think that's one of the things we saw with this library system is just, if I can take a minute to just give them some kudos. Like, I know they've, had some critics, but I saw a staff that's incredibly committed to this community, really wants to focus on how do they serve the community better. And the numbers show that they're doing a fantastic job with that and being very efficient and effective. They have one of the most robust volunteer kind of groups and systems, and not just in terms of the number of people, but the breadth at which of the opportunities that they allow their volunteers to be involved is unprecedented in the libraries we've worked with. So I think we heard both in person and in the survey that, I think there's a desire to let the library be the library and move on from some of the controversies that have happened. And I think, this staff is well positioned to do that and find creative ways to utilize resources and investments the county's already made to make the best use of those.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, that will move us to I3, which was a 120 times certain. It's a presentation on antitrust lawsuits relating to fire trucks. Madam Attorney.
Yes, good afternoon. We have Dale here with us today. He's going to present this agenda item.
Welcome, Mr. Scott.
I'm sorry, Dale Scott. I didn't say his last name. I apologize.
And good afternoon. Nice to see you all again. Dale Scott with Tessitory Mars Scott in Orlando. As you all probably recall, I'm representing you along with a number of national law firms in the PFAS litigation that's pending right now in federal court in South Carolina and district court in South Carolina. That case remains pending and is ongoing. Lead counsel in that case is a firm called Barron Budd out of Dallas, which is a national class action toxic tort litigation firm that handles very large litigation cases, usually class action cases, antitrust type cases, things of that nature. They recently contacted me because they are involved in and they are working with a number of other firms with regard to a manner of litigation and a manner of claim that involves fire engines and fire truck apparatus and firefighting material apparatus anti-competitive schemes. Barron Budd contacted me. They indicated from some preliminary information they were able to find largely online and largely through available public record information that Citrus County is likely a strong candidate to be a part of these lawsuits or one of these lawsuits to be filed based on the timing of when it appears Citrus County has purchased firefighting and equipment and apparatus and fire trucks. And they contacted me and inquired of me whether I thought the county might be interested in taking part in this litigation. The gist of the claim and the litigation is that over the last 10, 12 years or so, there has been considerable consolidation and a number of mergers in the fire apparatus and fire truck industry. Namely, at this point, REV Group, Oshkosh Corporation, and Rosenbauer, three companies that make this equipment, very specialized equipment, all at this point own about 80% of the market. And this is a major change and major shift versus the status of the market that had existed for 50, 75, 100 years. Across the country, this has resulted in increased equipment prices, increased delays in delivery, resulted in the compelled requirement of exclusive service contracts, exclusive replacement equipment contracts. Again, things that didn't exist in the industry and that weren't previously required, but in the last 8 to 10 years, they're being seen from California to Florida to New York that these companies colluding are seeking to have these very anti-competitive measures put into place, which ultimately impacts taxpayer money. So what the status of the litigation is right now is that these claims are being filed individually in the various districts and venues. For example, a case here would be filed here in the Middle District of Florida, federal court, but all of the cases so far have been and are being consolidated into the Western District of Wisconsin, which is where most of these companies are based. I mentioned Oshkosh, for example. So while these would not be class action cases, which would be carried under a single class action case and under a single class action setting, these would be, and they are numerous cases, individual cases that are being brought in individual venues but are being consolidated together. These are extremely complex cases. I've For example, I brought a copy of the Baron Budd's lawsuit they filed on behalf of the County of Los Angeles. It's about 140 pages and 500 paragraphs. So these are involved litigation matters that require expert handling by expert attorneys who do this a lot and do this for a living, along with their expert economists, their business experts, because there's a lot of analysis in terms of proving up how the damages come to the final end user. Again, based on what they have seen and what they have suggested to me, they've identified the county as being involved or possibly a party that has been damaged by these schemes. They have offered and suggested a contingency fee agreement where the county would pay nothing out of pocket. It's a pure contingency fee arrangement where the attorneys would pay all fees or all costs associated with litigation, and those costs would be paid back only if there's a recovery, and the attorneys at a rate of 25% would only be paid if there's a recovery in the case. If there's no recovery, it's kind of like a commercial on TV. No recovery, then nothing comes out of pocket from you as the client in the case. I would act as local counsel for the attorney group, interfacing with the county, interfacing with county representatives, employees, officers, with the national attorneys, namely Baron Budd, acting as the strategic leaders of the case. They're the lead attorneys in all of these cases that we're seeing. Last I heard from them, they're representing about 50 local governments, City of Baltimore, Los Angeles County, a number of very, very large and very well-known cities and counties. So this is major litigation. It is actively taking place. There is somewhat of a time concern or time constraint here because we are subject to 4-year statutes of limitations under the Sherman Act and the Clayton Act. So with each passing day, we lose potential damages depending on when items of equipment may have been purchased, fire engines and the like. So there is some need to, if the county is interested, to get the document signed, get the complaint filed in federal court, and go ahead and resolve that statute of limitations concern. Again, it's from what I've seen and from what they've shown me, it seems like on the one hand, there's very little risk on the part of the county to participating, but there could be considerable upside. I have received some preliminary documentation from the fire department of Citrus County that indicates that indeed there has been an unusual spike in costs in the last 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years, which is perhaps somewhat telling and perhaps bridges to exactly what the attorneys have identified here. A copy of the retainer agreement is in the record. Certainly, if you have any questions on that, I'm happy to answer them to the extent I can. But it would seem, at least to me, and I would let the county executives and county attorneys give the final recommendation, perhaps. But it would seem a reasonable action, similar to the PFAS case, for the county to be involved in this case as well.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Board, do you have any questions for Mr. Scott? Before I would open anything to the public in a minute, Madam Attorney, I just want to reiterate 2 things. 1, the county is not paying you to be here today. And 2, if the board voted to go with this, the county would not pay anything.
That's correct.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, we'd actually had other folks reach out to us. I think there was 2 or 3 different folks that contacted the county about this, and I did have conversations with the chief, and he prepared some information. We have bought, it looks like we have 3 large purchases, 2 from 2022, and then 1 which we're not actually getting the equipment until 2029. So each of those 3 purchases would probably fall within this statute of limitations, and the chief believed that it was a good idea. And he's here, of course, if I'm saying anything different, but he thought it was a good idea that we get involved in order to see if we can recoup some of this. It looks like the first 2 items, one took 18 months for us to get, the other one was 17 months for us, and the final one is 33 months it's taking us to get it.
Are those both trucks and apparatus?
I'm sorry that I don't know what these things are. Oh, actually, it looks like we have an engine truck,
That would be
a ladder truck, and an engine truck. So,
We don't fall under any, I feel like he's purchased apparatus recently too.
and again, I don't know, Chief, if you want to come help me. I think that these are just, it's taking a long time to get them. He might have ordered them, but it's.
Mr. Scott, if there's apparatus too, it would just, even if it didn't take a long time, it's the increased costs, right?
Yes. Yeah, increased cost, delivery time, and then there's a number of ancillaries, such as the requirement of exclusive service contracts. That's kind of a new creature in this area, so it's a number of things.
Hi, Chief.
Commissioners, good afternoon. So we have seen a 57% increase in the past 5 years in the purchasing of apparatus. In 2021, we purchased an engine for $545,000. And today, most recently, you just approved a purchase of an engine at $965,000. And this is the same engine that we currently have. There's no extras thrown into this. There are options that we add to the state bid, but this is state bid purchase. So, the build times, if you go back to 2015, we had 9 months that we would see our engine. And then, of course, today we're at 33 months.
And supplies, Chief, have you had increased expenses in your, I'm assuming supplies are included in this?
Yes, correct. Everything across the board. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief? Commissioner Bass?
Chief, are these are standardized prices across the U.S. or?
That's correct.
Okay,
Again, this is state bid. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Board, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we have the Attorney Dale Scott proceed and represent Citrus County in this.
Would you like to authorize the chairman to execute the professional services agreement?
Yes.
In that motion? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Barrick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kennard. Would anyone from the public like to speak on this agenda item? Okay.
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
just clarification of that motion, that is A, B, and C.
I don't
I'm sorry,
see
A and B,
C.
I'm sorry. Sorry,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, board, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And that will bring us to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now it's time for general, open to the public. When you come to the podium, please state your name and where you're from. You'll have 3 minutes at the podium unless you have a record on file with the clerk's office. If so, please let us know so that your time can be set. The clerk has the final say if that you have a letter on file or not. Your green card should be numbered, so if there's a number 1, please come forward. They're numbered, correct? Number 2? Are you number 1? Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry about that. Hi.
Took the long route.
That's okay. Welcome.
So good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, County Administrator. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jason Hoskins. I'm the warden, and I serve as the warden at Citrus County Detention Facility. Prior to coming to Citrus County, I spent about 30 years at a 30-year career at the Florida Department of Corrections, serving in a variety of leadership roles and eventually as a warden. Throughout my career, I've been responsible for managing correctional operations, developing staff, ensuring institutional safety and security, and fostering a culture of professionalism and accountability. When I arrived at Citrus here in February 2025, I recognized there were challenges that needed to be addressed, particularly in the area of staffing. Since that time, our leadership team and staff have worked diligently to strengthen the operations and improve the facility's ability to serve the Citrus County area. I'm proud to report today that one of our most significant accomplishments was our staffing progress. In February 2025, our on-shift coverage averaged about 60% per shift, but through focused recruitment efforts and employee engagement and retention initiatives, we're averaging about 95% as of June. Today, we only have 9 correction officer vacancies remaining as of today. 3 of those positions will be filled on July 27th, and we're actively interviewing today and tomorrow, and I am optimistic that we'll be fully staffed by August 1st. As many of you are aware, we experienced several inmate overdose incidents in June that required the administration of Narcan by our staff. While those events are very concerning, I'm proud of the quick response by our correction officers and medical staff whose actions helped save lives. Following those incidents, we immediately took steps to strengthen our security measures and further reduce the risk of contraband entering the facility. As part of that effort, CoreCivic purchased and installed a state-of-the-art body scanner in our booking department at a cost of more than $200,000. That was paid for by the facility. Every person booked into the detention facility is now scanned prior to entering the secure portion of the facility. In addition, all outside inmate workers inside the building, they're scanned before returning from work, and this technology provides an additional layer of security to demonstrate our commitment to protecting both staff and inmates through proactive measures. While the facility is managed by CoreCivic, it's important to remember that the overwhelming majority of the men and women who work there are members of our community. Our correction officers, medical staff, administrative personnel, maintenance staff, and support teams at our Citrus County residents, they're your constituents, our neighbors, and dedicated professionals who take pride in the work they do every day. The detention facility has received significant media coverage over the last several months. We understand and respect the important role the media plays in informing the public, and we remain committed to that transparency. In fact, we've welcomed representatives from the Citrus County Chronicle to our facility on 2 separate occasions, providing comprehensive tours of our operations with both a reporter and photographer present. We believe that it's important for the public to see firsthand the work being done by our staff and the improvements being made to the facility. Ooh, that was a quick 3 minutes.
Thank you for your comments. Number 2. Hello, Mr. Hutterly.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Chuck Hutterly from Inverness. I would like the BOC to adopt a 2-year moratorium on present and future rezoning, large-scale over 5-acre developments, whether it is combined lots or single properties. The current zoning plans are adequate and have been identified for a reason and meet planned development in Citrus County. Too many times, developers want to maximize housing density that directly impact our water resources. A recent application wanted to lower impervious surface ratio to 35%. Flooding can occur where ISR ratios are compromised, not to mention the potential loss to recharge in wetlands due to uncontrolled water runoff. It has been mentioned that developers need to be more creative and implement natural measures to direct water runoff. The same recent rezoning application proposed to remove 65% of species tree without an arborist report and did not identify approved tree lists that are suitable for local climate zones. Further to this growing trend to clear-cut trees. Trees in general have a direct value of $45 or more depending on species and size for carbon sequester, which help mitigate climate change. Developers should pay this cost per species tree identified and counted by our county arborist to pay into Parks Division. When you remove existing tree canopy, you increase surface temperature, reduce moisture retention, and compromise living animals' existence. There are many older developments in the county that demonstrate incorporation of natural landscape. Therefore, any new housing development must retain no less than 50% of healthy tree coverage due to imposing. Thank you. I'm running out of time.
No, you have 50 seconds left.
I'll continue after the next.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 3. Hi.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Orlando Lopez, and I live at 5371 North Highland Park Drive in Hernando, Florida. That's directly behind the concrete plant on Manco Drive. Now, I'm here again today because the noise from this heavy industrial operation is a daily disruption for the entire neighborhood. This is not mild background noise, it is industrial level noise. 5 days a week, starting very early in the morning. It comes and goes depending on their activity. Mixing concrete, loading trucks, filling silos, and when it peaks, it is loud enough to interrupt sleep, conversations, and the normal use of our homes. Now, we have been living with this for months, and we cannot continue like this. After last month's meeting, we waited 2 full weeks without hearing anything from the county. We then sent a follow-up email to the board. I want to thank Commissioner Rebecca Bays, for she was the only commissioner to respond, even though this is not her district. Now, she took the time to forward our concern, and we appreciate that. Thank you. But the response that we received was a verbal call from code enforcement saying that the plant is in compliance and the case is closed. Now, that completely misses the point. This is not a zoning violation. This is not a question of whether a permit exists. This is a compatibility issue, and buffering issue, and a public impact issue. Code enforcement is not the department that evaluates compatibility or impact on the trail corridor. Those responsibilities fall under planning and development and comprehensive plan consistency, and none of that has been reviewed. Meanwhile, the noise continues every week. We're not asking to shut down a business. We're asking for the county to do what its own rules require, a formal compatibility and compliance review that looks at buffering, noise, trail protection, and whether this heavy industrial use is appropriate directly next to homes and the Withlacoochee State Trail. I want to personally invite any commissioner to come to my home for coffee one morning. Now, no speeches and no presentations, just sit for a few minutes and hear the noise yourselves when it reaches the highest levels. I believe that once you experience it directly, you will understand why we're asking for action. Now, we have been patient. We have followed the process. We have submitted documentation, photos, written concerns, but the impact continues and the residents continue to live with them. We can't continue this way. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Number 4.
Robert Schultz. I'm at 5400 North Alabaster Drive, Hernando. And I'm here to speak about the concrete plant operation and surrounding businesses that I've made this aware of what's going on over there, businesses without permits operating. The concrete plant that I personally, within the last week, have monitored the noise level at approximately 3:10 a.m. at 93 decibels. Okay? So, folks, we're not talking about a report here of 60 decibels. We're way past that. Way past that. And it just seems to be nothing is happening. It's affecting people's lives, health concerns. It has to be addressed. We can't ignore it any longer. I mean, we have people in Mr. Lopez's area. I'm in a different area, but we're all impacted. And they've reached their limit. They said, why is this happening? Why is the county continuing to allow this to happen? I don't have any good reason for it. I've reached out to Ms. Davis.
I was just looking at the map. I was listening.
Okay, and we were supposed to sit down and meet. They told me you were busy. You were going to call me back. I still haven't gotten a call back. We're more than reasonable, but please, after a while, we can't be ignored. The problem is not going away. I mean, we're just asking if any of the commissioners were living through this, I would expect you to want this to be addressed and handled. I mean, the businesses that are in that area, if you go out there and look, it's almost, I just don't know how it's allowed. I just don't know how this is allowed to continue. Besides the plant, unpermitted businesses in that area, you know, up the street in Holder, it's a beautiful facility, but Manco Drive, forget it. It seems like you do what you want. And I would like, and I'm always available to meet the commissioners. We can go down there, look it over, hear our concerns, especially with Mr. Lopez saying over there for coffee. I mean, there's nothing to hide. It is what it is. You can all hear it. Everybody will be on the same page, and we can proceed from there. So I want to thank you for your time, and hope we can resolve this matter.
Thank you. Number 5? Number 6? Hello.
Hi, good evening or afternoon. Stephen Schwartz, Beverly Hills. Commissioners, we are the Nature Coast and want to keep it that way. With all the emails and other communications you have received, it should be apparent that we are building out too fast and destroying the charm of Citrus County. By raping the landscape and removing the canopies of trees, Citrus County will be seeing extended major droughts with thunderstorms becoming increasingly dangerous. You will see heavier downpours with winds that will spawn tornadoes more frequently. Due to state laws, you cannot put stricter guidelines on developers. However, you have the right to deny all rezoning and development that doesn't meet the county vision. You currently have a way to preserve the Nature Coast by denying zone changes. That is not denying an applicant based on what they would like to build. With elections coming up, the sentiment of the majority of your constituents want to preserve the Nature Coast. The 49% of the land you say can't be touched is only for the foreseeable future. You never know when that could change. Just look at the national parks and preserves that the federal government is now allowing corporations to drill, and who knows, maybe a hotel. It will destroy our ecosystem further. Talk is cheap. Let's see which of you favors developers and a current rate of development as we move forward, and which of you favors the will of the people. I am requesting that you put on the January 28th agenda for a vote to change the land code that would remove heavy commercial from ever being built in Citrus County. We are the Nature Coast. Let's keep it that way. That would prevent an asphalt plant and a data site from ever coming to Citrus County. It would protect the aquifer and all who depend on it to sustain life. You all would be heroes of Citrus County, and your constituents would know which people to vote out. If you do not put this on the agenda, and in the future heavy industry is allowed, your failed action will have consequences that will affect you naturally, especially residents getting sick or having to drink undrinkable water. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7?
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Hully Grogan, and I live at 6344 East Peach Street in Inverness. First, I want to thank the board for listening to the community and enacting the 12-month data center moratorium. It proved that you're willing to protect our water, power grid, and rural way of life. But a moratorium is temporary. The clock is ticking, and the developers' withdrawal should not comfort us. The industry knows Citrus County is on the map. If we sit back and wait for the next massive industrial application to hit your desk, we will always be on the defense. We cannot afford to fight these battles case by case. Yesterday, I posted an article on social media written by John Labriola about the Inverness City Council voting 4-1 to completely ban marijuana dispensaries. I got over 14,000 views. There was plenty of pushback, but a positive reaction were over 51%. Now, my post wasn't meant to highlight the marijuana dispensaries. I shared it simply to show the fact that the Inverness City Council stepped up and enacted a complete ban, which begs the question, why can't the BOCC do the same for data centers? I'm asking this because I already know the answer. As a mother, when I ask my kids a question, I usually know the truth before they speak. It is my understanding that you're worried about lawsuits if you pass a complete ban on data centers. But if you look at the actual land use in Citrus County, we don't even have enough land zoned for heavy industrial to build one of these facilities. The land would have to be rezoned first. Your job is to keep this community stable, not flip-flop, and take all steps that would put us, your children, the residents, you protect in secure positions. Do not wait for this moratorium to expire. We need county staff to aggressively push strict, blind performance-based regulations right now into our comprehensive plan and our land development code. We need severe caps on peak electric draw, water use, and any other exploitation that data centers would introduce. By weaving these infrastructures and environmental standards directly into our codes, today we protect Citrus County tomorrow. We make it legally and financially impossible for predator resources, heavy industries to target our borders. Please lock these protections into place now so our springs and residents in rural land are secure for decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 8. Hello.
Good afternoon, Board. I'm trying something new today. I would like to denounce the taking of my signs that I have put up around the county. I spent my own money on these signs. You know me as Ray Brown, but you may also know me as RBJR. Madam Chair, I believe because my signs call out Commissioners Bays and Davis on their flip-flop vote of Betts Farm. Commissioner Bays just informed me that she had one of her supporters remove my sign. I want it back or refund me the $125. Just because someone doesn't like my freedom of speech doesn't mean they have the right to remove my signs. One thing is clear, I plan to put up more. Commissioner Bays, you said that this was on private property.
Please, Mr. Brown, just direct your comments to me.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I'm told that it was on private property, but is it the county that is maintaining private property? I'd like to know, are we cutting and maintaining private property outside the fenced-in area off 44? I plan to find out. Madam Chair, I would like to recognize 2 commissioners for doing an outstanding job for the citizens of Citrus County. The 2 would be yourself and Commissioner Brack. What a wonderful job that both of you are doing in our community, putting the citizens above developers and special interests. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, I would like to also ask why Commissioner Kennard would spend county money on research for private communities with driving golf carts on their streets. Surely that money could be better spent on other things. My question would be why? Why not let this community use their own money instead of the county's money? If commissioners are so willing to use our taxes on this, what other taxes are being spent without our knowledge? I ask, this is my 4th bullet, I ask that the person that's making decisions on buying luxury vehicles and why one vehicle is not being used for multiple drivers. Does every county worker need their own vehicle? This would why not share? This would cut down on waste. Start putting a stop on buying vehicles until a study can be done on ride sharing. Maybe that's where your money should be spent, taxpayers' money spent instead of golf carts sharing the road. Thank you all so much for hearing me out.
Thank you for your comments. Number 9? Number 10? Hello?
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Rachel Irvin. I live in Crystal River. I too have issues with, let me get to that first. The taxpayer-funded study to determine whether golf carts should be allowed to cross at Crystal Manor. So what is the cost of this study? And why should the entire county pay for this extravagant and wasteful expenditure when it only benefits that particular community? So not to speak for the entire county, but a lot of residents of Citrus don't want tax money spent in this manner. The community that will be served should be fundraising to pay for it. They're the one using it. Also, will there then be additional infrastructure costs for recalibrating maybe the traffic timing lights, updating the crossing structures, painting for golf cart lanes, or will they be taking more eminent domain to expand the sidewalks wide enough to let a golf cart go through, which in turn is a costly construction issue? Are all of those costs going to come from tax money also? I digress. If the board agrees to proceed and authorize staff to procure services of a qualified engineering consultant to prepare a traffic safety study evaluating the roadways within Crystal Manor for compliance with the requirements of Florida statutes and applicable ordinances, and approve the associated budget transfer, that's more money out of the taxpayer's pocket. Sorry. The other thing, the solid waste increase. I have lived in the house I'm in since 2020, where the solid waste was $25. Just moving to this county, I did not understand what all of that was. I knew it was there. In 2024, it went up $2 to $27. So now it wants to be increased to $35. That's $10 over a 8-year period. If these pickup services for Waste Pro and whatnot charge the resident that they're picking up for, it has an included fee for the landfill. So why are all the citizens being charged an additional money for landfill use? What if I don't use the landfill personally? I don't go to the landfill. If I did, it would still be $6 to go across the thing. That's the fee just to go in. So is this going to continue to go up every year or even every 2 years? You are obviously going to be concerned with the lost tax revenue. However, there will be more when the homestead tax exemption for the property tax item, the referendum, passes. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for your comments. And you were number 10, right?
Yes.
Number 11? Hi.
Commissioners, John Parliament, 5415 North Ironstone Terrace in Hernando. I don't know, is there a chance that can get? This is just to reinforce what my two neighbors, Orlando and Bob, were talking about. The first is just where this cement plant is.
Are you looking for something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought when I gave it to this woman, it was going to appear.
Oh,
magically.
no, she can put it in public record, but on the computer, outside people can't put anything into the computer, but it couldn't be just a piece of paper.
Rats.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But,
yes, sir.
What it will show is that there's two pre-existing platted communities, residential, from 1972 and 1978. And those happen to be the two plats that are subdivisions that we're talking about here. In 1983, the Public Works Department manual was adopted. In 87, the Citrus Industrial Park was platted. So the two subdivisions, the residential subdivisions, well predate any of the Public Works manual or the industrial park platting. In 1991, the comprehensive plan was developed. That plan overlays the guidelines of the initial permits, as far as I understand. But the only recourse we residents have at this time is direct adherence to the cement companies, to our ordinances. That and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And that's a lot. You've already heard that it's noisy, it's disruptive. There are some health issues that are involved with this. And the operation, I'm not sure what the answer is. We just need your help. It's totally incompatible with a residential community. And when you see I hope you take a look at the diagrams, they're not suitable for framing, but you'll see that there are the two residential areas, and this one little pocket is the cement plant. And it's absolutely totally ridiculous. It's within rocks throws of our homes. So I'm asking that you take a close look at it. I don't know what recourse we have, what recourse you have.
Thank you for your comments.
Please invite me to that breakfast. I'll have coffee with you.
Thank you. Number 12. Is that you, Mr. Bryant, number 12?
All right, Curtis Bryant, LaCanto. A couple things for you this afternoon. We talk about being the nature coast. A lot of you guys have gotten up here and said that you want to protect the nature coast, things like that. There's ways that we can do it. It's called the Land Development Code. In the Land Development Code in 2022, this board, I believe two of the sitting commissioners were here when that decision was made, but this board made the decision to allow developers to incorporate drainage retention areas and buffers into their projects as open space. Prior to that would be a separate calculation. What that allowed to happen is now developers get higher densities for their properties. So if we want to protect the nature coast, my encouragement to you is to revert that policy, go back to what it was prior, change the Land Development Code to require developers to exclude the drainage retention areas and buffers, because those aren't really open space. Those are for water usage and stuff like that. Secondly here, I'm going to talk about some public records things. You guys are talking about budgets and stuff like that coming up. I assume we spend a lot of money in public records requests. I am probably one of the nemesises here for this. But there's a way that you guys can do this to where it reduces staff time on public records. Alachua County does it. They implemented a policy to where all of the county commissioners, and I believe most of the staff members' emails are searchable. They're just posted online as they come in. You type in the person's name, you see all their emails for the week or whatever it was. No need to do a public records request, no need for staff to go through those emails and compile them and search them and all those things. As they're added to the portals, they're search for exempt information, things like that, so it's just search stuff. All of those emails are public record anyway, so people are by right allowed to get to access to those, so why not make it easier for them? Why not reduce the staff time to do all those records requests and just put them out there for the public to get as they want to. That goes into cell phone policies. We have a cell phone policy here in Citrus County. I believe the administrative regulations for that, I don't recall off the top of my head what it is, but that requires all county business to be done on county issued cell phones. We all know that most of you guys have personal cell phones, and we all know that most of you guys use your personal cell phones for county business. I have records requests to show that. So I'm going to encourage you guys to stick to your administrative policies, regulations, and use your county devices for all of your county business, and stop using personal devices for those. And follow the administrative regulations. Yes, that means you guys have to carry 2 devices around. You guys signed up for this job. So that's part of the job. I would encourage you guys to do that. Further, that goes to social media accounts. 3 of you guys, I believe, have social media accounts that are public. It's your official commissioner social media accounts. Those are also public record. A lot of you guys have people that access those social media accounts and all of those types of things. So I would encourage you guys to use those social media accounts in a responsible manner and be mindful that they are representing yourself as an elected official. So thank you.
Thank you. Number 13.
My name is Rowena Kinchley, and I live in Inverness. I have a friend who lives in Brooksville. He recently told me he lived there for 20 years. Maybe it was time he started putting down some roots. I, who put down roots if I stand too long in the same space in Publix, was confounded. Then I realized the difference between us. He was transplanted here at 18, joined the military. Afterwards, he started his own company and lived a variety of places before settling in Brooksville. I was born in Florida. I grew up in Tampa when it was so small everyone knew everyone. In high school, we joked about closing the state line. I moved here because I wanted to live in old Florida. I fell in love with small town done right. I found a little house in the woods and I put down roots. Cindy, my friend, and I were driving down a 2-lane road, and then a 4-lane road divided highway with trees on both sides, then State Road 50. I asked him on each stretch to think about how he felt, everything he observed. Then I asked him which he would choose. His answer was the 2-lane road, even if he was stuck behind a slow-moving car. I realized he'd set down roots so gradually, he didn't realize he had them. Then I told him someone had told me the aquifer was down to 17%. And he asked me, what do we do? I have come to the belief that the process must be changed. The current process was designed to facilitate development, much like a rubber stamp. I think we can and must figure out how we can change this to preserve our way of life, preserve old Florida, preserve our environment, and our intricate system of waters, springs, and aquifer. We should come together as a community, figure out how to get what we need without sacrificing what we have. Also, I remember how proud I was when Florida passed the Sunshine Law. I support Commissioner Kennard's move to prohibit non-disclosure acts from being signed, and I would extend it to any elected official, including commissioners. I realize there is a state bill that says you can, but I don't believe you should do so. If you do, you should recluse yourself from any discussion or votes on the proposal. Unless this is the case, there can be no transparency. Without transparency, there can be no just accountability. However, there will be accountability. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Number 14. 15. Welcome.
I get 5 minutes. You guys usually cut me off. My name's Dee Dee Ray. I'm from Citrus Springs. Some of you are failing our community. I can't say all of you because some might have good intentions and the others I have less confidence in. And our community seems like it's adrift with no one at the helm, rudderless and aimlessly coasting. And we're seeing resignation, job freezes, and increased assessment fees, even though our budget shows us in the black. I'm not seeing much transparency and little trust in decision-making. Our community's struggling, and we're still being imposed more fees. You see it on social media. The frustration and anger are palpable, and rightly so with what we're observing. We get that you're trying to money grab as much as you can before the property tax is reduced. You're feeling desperate, and desperation will make way for a data center as an alternate revenue stream, which will provide nothing to this county, not millions in revenue, and certainly not jobs. And now the BOCC wants to impose an additional $8 increase to total $35 annually for the landfill assessment. It's where the additional almost $3 million are going. Also, if it's not paid, then one's house will be levied for $35. What about those write-off fines for ordinance violations? What about their homes being levied? It's called selective forced compliance. When does all of this stop? Exorbitant consulting fees, non-ad valorem assessment fees. And where are we now? The Deltona Corporation data center rezoning's waiting to see who will make it up on our board. The Anderson Columbia asphalt plant applications waiting to see who will make up our board. The Pulte Group applications waiting to see who will make up on our board as we sit back expecting you five to pause and protect what we have. Just say no to rezoning when the developers come knocking at your door. Stick to our land development codes. And this whole NDA issue, in June, even Clark Stillwell with the Deltona Corporation mentioned NDAs being signed. Who of you have signed NDAs with any entities before July 1st? And now, because of the passing of SB 484, you legally can sign an NDA. So I ask, who signed NDAs with any entities after July 1st? And today, there being an NDA item on the agenda is suspicious, to say the least, especially since the holder application was pulled. Why now? I want to bring Florida Statute 196.075 to your attention, how it affects low-income senior citizens. Florida Statute 196.075 was signed into law in 2000 and has been the law since Commissioner Bays, Davis, and Kennard were elected to office. This statute authorizes county commissioners to grant an additional $50,000 property tax exemption to seniors who are 65 or older. It applies to homeowners who have combined household adjusted gross income does not exceed $38,686 for 2026. So out of 67 counties, there are only 2 counties that do not offer the exemption to seniors: Taylor County in the Great Bend area, and the other county, Citrus County, with approximately 60,000 seniors and somewhere around 14,000 seniors at or below the $38,686 mark. Per the Property Appraiser Office, the commissioners are aware of the Florida statute and have been for many years. With 65 other counties having the exemption, one has to wonder why the commissioners never adopted the exemption and failed to do this. Why? Is it through ignorance, contempt for seniors, or greed? Remember who's up for re-election, who's had numerous opportunities to adopt this Florida statute to help low-income seniors, but has failed to do so. If the county's so eager for development and progress, why is there a hiring freeze after the economic development director jumped ship? You county commissioners directed County Administrator Steve Howard to pause hiring for most positions to provide budget flexibility. Why would we leave the economic development director position vacant temporarily, per Commissioner Bays? The Economic Development Director was a full-time role within the County Administrator Department, and key duties include managing public-private partnerships and collaborating with partners like the Chamber of Commerce, luring industry through incentives to our county. So now Mr. Steve Howard wears 2 hats. What are you all hiding after the Economic Development Director jumped ship and you're not replacing that position, and now an NDA on today's agenda? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Number 15? 16? Got 16 coming.
That was very good. Susan Nelson, Solid Gardens. Just like to mention that I'm 66, which means I am not of the generation, the transition generation. I'm actually the witness generation. The data centers are progressing so fast, they can't even keep up with themselves at this point. They're heading into being cooled by sound, so they won't be needing water. But they can't keep up with them. The AI is improving things so quickly. But that's not what I came up. Can I talk about the campaign and the event put on by the Chronicle last week? Can I?
As long as you direct all your comments to me.
Okay.
And keep it to county business, please.
All right. Can I keep it to ethical business?
We'll see how we go.
Okay. All fair in love and war. All right. See where to begin. I question, we have an excellent budget, except for the Department of War Games takes so much from us. So I don't know why we need an accountant, really, because we actually look not bad as far as budget goes. And it's not a popularity contest where I can say, I'm a conservative, or I'm authoritarian, or I'm a personality disorder, so everybody who is those things, follow me. So I don't understand that part of why anybody would be attracted to that stance. My generation, we weren't really instructed in virtues unless you got curious and did all the research yourself. The young generation nowadays is using the word woke, which means to do the right thing. I'm up over 740 virtues, qualities, and traits, so I have something to look at when I'm looking at whether the person shows respect, or they have integrity, or they care about the environment, whether they're community oriented, or it's all about everything that I did, or are they working together? So I just had that to say about it.
Thank you for your comments. Number 17.
Hello, back again, Tony Ayo. 5432 Pecos Terrace, Beverly Hills, Pine Ridge. Okay, I am talking about the commissioner's responsiveness to the people. We have a big problem here. Okay, as a paying taxpayer in this county that for his property taxes pay $4,400 a year, which is for me is kind of pretty steep. I would think that my commissioner would respond when I've called her, but she hasn't. I've left messages. She ignores them. I brought information to you last year, all of you, regarding the water situation off of Holiday Drive, about the people who have high arsenic in their water. What's been done? Now I'm reading about, we're going to spend money on Crystal Manor so they can have golf carts on their roads. I'm like, are you crazy? We are out of money. We're barely struggling to keep the potholes covered, and we're going to spend money on a study. This is ridiculous. I'm not used to paying a huge amount of money out of my pocket every year to be ignored by my elected officials. I don't think it's funny. I think all of you need to be held accountable. I don't appreciate when I had to listen to, at the LKQ hearing how one of the commissioners stated, well, I could tell you why I'm going to vote the way I'm going to vote, but I don't have to. Excuse me. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, people. You are responsible to your constituents. We vote you in, we can vote you out. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. 18.
Morning. I'm Sherry Lynn Winchuk at Beverly Hills. I was just curious, since we all believe in transparency, the non-disclosure arrangement, I was curious why it was limited to just data centers on it. And I was just looking for clarity if county commissioners were included in the way it words it. In county employee, I didn't think they were the same. I didn't know why it wouldn't include everyone, just to be fair across the board. And as far as the land changing, rezoning that people keep talking about, I was wondering, why wouldn't you consider maybe at least doing a temporary freeze on rezoning land until we're out of the phase 3 water shortage? Because that keeps getting extended. I mean, we've spent an entire summer where we're pretty much like, no, kids, you can't go play in the sprinklers, you can't do that, you can't. So how are we gonna accommodate all this more growth if we can't even accommodate what's here? Can't even, live normally, so to speak. Anyway, just want to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. 19?
Hi, my name is Cheryl Squilanti, and I live in Homosassa. I received the notice about solid waste disposal. At first, I didn't know what that meant. I thought you meant something else, totally. But then I called them and found out what it meant. Citrus County residents already pay companies to collect their household trash. If we take items to the landfill, we pay disposable fees there as well. Now the county is asking every property owner to pay an additional annual assessment. Before asking taxpayers to pay more, I believe the public deserves clear answers. Please provide a detailed accounting of solid waste fund, the total revenue collected from the annual assessment, the total revenue collected from landfill tipping fees, an explanation of why those revenues are not sufficient to operate the landfill, a breakdown showing exactly how the additional $35 per household will be spent, a long-term financial plan so residents understand how future increases will be avoided. I also respectfully request that the county consider an independent financial audit of the solid waste fund and publish an annual public report showing all revenues, expenditures, reserves, and capital projects. Transparency builds public trust. This is not simply about $35. It is about accountability. Every taxpayer deserves to know how public money is collected, managed, and spent before additional financial burdens are placed on homeowners. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. 19, 20, 21? Is there anyone else that would like to speak at open to the public? Okay, with that, I will close open to the public. Board, do you have anything? No? Yep, Commissioner Bass?
A couple of things when it comes down to the solid waste and budget and having knowledge of how those monies are being spent. That is exactly what I have asked for since I've been on this board and even my prior term. I do believe that there's a better way for all of these agenda items when we read them and see them online that should give more of the budget impact and funding source and give a better detail of what we're asking and what that looks like into the future. As far as the Economic Development Director and asking for a hiring freeze, I'm listening to the public. You're telling me that you're not really interested in any kind of development. So there's no point in having an Economic Development Director at this point. That is something that I think if we're going to look at any type of commercial or industrial development, I think our county administrator can handle that in the interim until we decide as a community where we're going. I've got Mr. Orlando's phone number. I'll be calling you, having coffee with you. And as far as the data center, every single time that has come before this board, many times with it being a quasi-judicial application that was coming before the board, the people on this board were not allowed to speak out publicly. But every time it's come before this board, I have voted against it. A moratorium you can have for 11 months and 29 days. That's the exact amount of time that you can have a moratorium. That says from a legal standpoint, you have to come up with a plan if you want something more. And that's exactly where we're at. We're working on an ordinance to have something strong enough that would prohibit, I think, as far as I know, I'm not sure where we're coming, it has not been presented to us as of now, but my position has been the same every time on a data center. I don't think that this is a zoning issue county by county. I think there's a lot that needs to go into it, and I think there's a lot of guardrails between the federal government and the state government. If they're projecting 3,000 of these across the United States of America, we better know what we're doing. It's the largest thing since power companies. We have a public service commission currently that regulates all utilities. This is bigger than that, in my opinion. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that doesn't mean that Citrus County, we're going to prohibit it and it can go on Levy County's side, just right across the barge canal. That's no different than having it in Citrus County. I want regulations that's going to regulate it throughout Florida. So that's my position on it. Not that I want a data center here in Citrus County. I think they need to be regulated to the point that we have to decide as a state if they're going to be somewhere, but I don't want them going in our neighboring county either, because they have the same implications in a neighboring county that they would have if they were in our yard. And I think that's it.
Commissioner Davis?
I will tell you privately why I've been rather wrapped around an axle or a tree lately, but I do want to come also in the morning. The problem is that based on my discussions with our head of growth management with code, I'm not sure there's anything we can do, but I do want to at least come experience your pain. So you certainly feel heard and know that, I mean, I've already taken some heat from the last meeting where I said we need to at least temporarily require a PUD for all asphalt and concrete plants, because I do hear folks that are experiencing this, and I don't want another one to sneak in, that if there's anything we can do about it. The problem is, of course, is that increases the cost of housing, which we already have a housing crisis, also increases the cost of repaving roads, because all of that would be done out of county, and then they tear up the roads that are now more expensive to pave. So we do need them in the county, but they need to be appropriately placed. So it's a long way of saying that I am a morning person, fortunately, so I will also get with you. Reese, I saw you. Make sure that happens and gets on my schedule. As far as the budget is, the landfill fees, the budget is transparent. Everything is always posted online. I coined a phrase, effective transparency, because the budget is like this thick. And so it is, all of that backup needs to be there. We post, we win budget awards every single year with our audits and so forth. So we are transparent. Transparent doesn't mean it's easy to find. So I agree with Commissioner Bays that I would like that to always be foremost in our minds, starting with staff and commissioners. Mr. Howard, when do we hear the land? Is it public hearing? Is it the next meeting for the landfill?
Yes.
Yes, I think so. Yes, I just want to confirm, yes.
At the chair's and Mr. Howard's pleasure, I think maybe someone should address this now, just to say why, because we've all had that briefing, but I'll muck it up.
Maybe wait till we're done.
Yeah,
with
whenever
this
you
part.
tell me when you're ready. Yep.
I don't know if staff's prepared, but if you
Yeah.
can find that out while I'm finishing
Yeah.
comments.
And that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Barrick.
Well, economic development, we don't need a person currently. The person that we had was trying to do some things for the county and has moved on, but our county administrator used to do economic development until the like 2015, 2016, when it was decided we should get an economic development chairperson or whatever you want to call them. And at this point, we're not developing except for businesses. The county has almost no industry. Now, in the early 2000s, there were maybe 100,000 people in this county. Currently, there's about 172,000. That's 26 years later. The lady that was here earlier, that came earlier in the 1970s, how many people were in the county? Not that many. There were about 40, 50,000 max. With the increase in population, there are increases in services. And if you don't change what you're doing and how you're collecting money, the only people that are going to be paying the taxes are property owners. And I hate to say that. $4,000 is a lot to be spending. Way too much to be spending. But unless we get industry in here to help pay, or we get more businesses to help pay, but if we get more businesses, what are the businesses going to do? They're going to up their prices. So you're still going to be paying. So the thing is, we have got to have a tax base that's strong. And in order to do that, we have to diversify. So yes, we have to get some industry in here. You're not going to like all the industry they get. Some of you came from up north, came from cities, and the cities had industry. Came from counties, counties had industry. That's what helped to balance everybody's budgets up north. And they still couldn't balance them because they kept raising them and raising the taxes on the property owners. So we have to be very careful up here what we allow, what we don't allow. I agree, we need to slow down with the zoning for houses. We are letting too many dwelling units come into this county without the proper things behind it. We haven't got the roads. We haven't got our residential roads fixed, let alone our county roads wide enough to experience the traffic that has to go onto them. So we have to be very, very careful, and I agree with most of what was said from everybody. And you need to realize this is not an easy job. I can't talk to them except up here. And they probably don't like what I'm saying right now, okay? Because it doesn't always agree with what they're saying. I mean, I write down everything that I can. NDAs we have to do. We have to make it so people that work for the county do not sign any agreements with any companies and shouldn't have any, they should not be allowed to. So, you know, some things have to go through. And I agree with some of the other things that we're going to talk about a little further in here. We're going to be talking about golf carts. As for the solid waste, if anybody had been coming to the meetings years back, they would have understood that the solid waste did do a study, and the study was approved. This increase is only doing what the study said. There will be one more increase in a couple years to bring it up to where it should be. The solid waste is a combination. Okay, if you want to keep your waste management price down that you pay, we can't keep increasing the solid waste costs at the solid waste site. And in order to do that, somebody has to pay to make sure that when this cell is done, we've got money to build a new cell for more garbage. More people, more garbage. It's not going away. Okay, just like everybody talks about water. The more dwelling units we allow, the more water. So we have to watch careful with the water department, with utilities, to find out, are we at the limit? And should we stop allowing dwelling units? And that's part of what we have to study and we have to read. On a bi-weekly basis, I get a book. They read it online, I get a book. If you ever saw my book, this is what I read. Okay, so you want backup, go online, that's backup. And then maybe, you know, you wouldn't have, your questions would be more oriented. I don't like the word transparency. I want to know the truth, okay? And I want you to tell me the truth. Don't tell me it's transparent, because transparent means you can see through it. I want to know exactly what's going on. That's why I read this, that's why I take notes. And I'm sorry that some of you don't do as much homework as I do, but that's my job. And I don't mean to yell at anybody or get anybody upset, but we are trying to do the best we can, and that's all I can say. But I do appreciate the fact that you are willing to come here to a meeting and let us know how you're feeling, because we have to know how you're feeling so we can actually vote. So I'm sorry about the cement plant, but if you ever lived in a city, you know whatever goes in, goes in. And that's how they keep the expenses down.
Okay. I just jotted down a few things that, just a few notes to myself. Gentlemen, I would love to come out and have coffee with you. I only feel like my presence having coffee with you wouldn't achieve what you want it to do. So pause for a second. Mr. Howard and Ms. Lynn, I had made a note about the noise, 3:10 a.m., 93 decibels. Obviously, that's not working hours, but maybe we could get some flex time for code enforcement, maybe not just once, but kind of hit some target hours through the morning time, and just to see what the noise, the decibel levels are. Because although you've heard commissioners say, it was zoned correctly, they bought, maybe our hands are tied, I think that maybe looking at code enforcement may be a helpful avenue for you. So again, I'd love to sit and have coffee, but that's not going to be effective for you. So maybe we could line something up with JC and flex some time for somebody, and maybe hit it not all the same day, but like a day, and then maybe the next week a day, or vary the times a little bit, but in those times that do go against code enforcement. That being said, so we'll take care of that, and if you want to chat about some stuff, we can do that. I want to remind everybody, people are talking about zoning. Those of you that pay attention have heard me say a lot of times, smart growth is sticking to the plan. I want to remind you all, the plan will be changing. Some of you participated in the workshops around the county for the changes that are coming for our comp plan amendments. So a reminder that will be coming. I don't think we have a date set, but this fall, maybe October, maybe November, pay attention to that, because if we're going to say stick to the plan, let's make sure we get your input and that the plan is right. Somebody talked about, a lot of people talked about solid waste. Are we ready to talk about that in a few minutes, or no? Do we need to wait till the
When you're
next
ready,
meeting?
Dr. Carl, you can come up for a few moments.
Okay. So we're going to get some information on that, but someone said an additional $35. I may have heard that wrong. Just a correction. It's $8 because it's $27 now, and it's $35. So it's not been changed in the last 4+ years. So that would be an average of just an increase on your tax bill, about $2 a year. You know, I have been a big proponent for no new taxes, and I think there's ways to definitely save some tax money. I do think with solid waste, it's not in that general fund budget. We never want to lose that asset, because if we're dependent on another county to deliver or take it somewhere else, eventually that's going to cost you a lot more money. So as long as the increases are minimal, I don't have a big problem with that fee increase, because I don't see that as a big tax increase. They're not in our regular general fund budget, so we have to fund that in some way. Carlton will give you more information. The last thing, Mr. Bryant is talking to someone. Mr. Bryant, he's not listening. Anyway, that's a pretty good idea that the county had, not including the DRA as open space. I'm not sure how this board feels about that, but I'm willing to put that under my name so we can talk about it some more and give the board a little time to research that. I would like to look at that a little more, but it sounds like a good idea. So can somebody put that on the agenda for the next board meeting? And you can put it under my name and at least give the board an opportunity to talk about it.
I think you have till Friday morning.
Well,
So
I don't have access, so somebody does that. Okay. And with that, Mr. Hall, thank you for on the fly being able to address some concerned citizens.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, Carlton All Public Works. So to talk a little bit about this Citrus County Solid Waste Assessment, it started in the 90s and the assessment was a little lower. It's fluctuated a few times throughout the years. In 2022, it increased from $25 to $27. Last year, April, we brought an entire rate study that showed the next 5-year forecast, and that $35 increase this coming tax year was on that rate study.
Not a $35 increase.
No, a $35 total assessment went from 27 to 35.
Okay.
And there's lots of services that provides. I can expound on it if you'd like.
I would like you to, as much, I know that you weren't prepared for this, and I'm assuming at the next board meeting, you'll have it all laid out for citizens and then the backup information, but please give us the information that you have today.
Sure. So at Solid Waste, there's a lot of services that we don't charge for, that citizens take advantage of. Recycling is something that costs the county money that we don't charge for at the landfill. In addition, scrap metal, hazardous waste, we have certain days where it's free. Certain amounts of those products are free. Furniture is free on certain days in certain amounts, as well as the litter crews that we have, 4 different litter crews around the county picking up the trash and the litter, and that's all funded by this assessment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll talk about it some more in a couple of weeks.
You will.
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
There is some case history, if you would like, that I guess Eric or somebody could come up and talk about the different times that they've been out to the cement plant, if you just want that for the public now.
Well, I hate putting staff on the spot.
Yeah, if you want, Eric, he'll come forward. We actually just did an email a few moments ago to you. I do know they've been out there like at 4 a.m., not like, I don't know how other times they've been, but they briefed me on that. Eric, if you want to come forward just for a quick moment.
Looks like Mr. Landon is
He's
making his
coming.
way forward. You have a little history for us?
Eric with Growth Management. It should be in your inbox as we speak. So just a little bit of a background at the different times we went out to the property in question. Let's see, it was, I'm getting older, so it's more difficult to read. July 30th, we went out at around noon of 2025. We went out August 7th of 26 at 4:59 a.m. This is code enforcement. September 26th to 25, we went out at 9:56 a.m. I'm sorry, that previous day probably should have been 2025. We went out October 8th of 2025 around noon. We went out October 10th of 2025 at 7:35 a.m. We went out March 26th of this year at 10:54 a.m. May 18th of 26 at 5:38 a.m. We went out May 22nd of 26 at 5:37 a.m. I was actually at that one. So we've been out there multiple times during the day, multiple times early in the morning before dawn, and we have not registered with our equipment.
You have been specifically checking for sound?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the update.
Sure.
I can't have you come back up because it's
Maybe
not
Eric could
open
get
to
with
the
them, though.
Yes, but Mr. Landon, if you have some things to say to Mr. Landon, and also after we get through board business, I'll open it back up to the public, and then you'll have another chance to speak, okay? Okay. Board, it looks like we are in E1, and just a reminder that E1A had been removed.
Motion to approve item E1B through F.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comment? Any further board discussion?
Just want everybody to know that E1B is enterprise, so that does not come out of general fund.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. E2.
Motion to approve E2.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E3.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E4 ABC.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E5.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E6, A and B.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Bays. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E7.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. E8, we'll have a board discussion. And this, for those watching, we're at E8. This is about our space needs appraisals in downtown Inverness. We have a few properties that we're looking at, and some appraisals came in.
You ready to start?
Go ahead, Commissioner Barrett.
When I look at all the properties that are for sale around the county, and I see that these three are in the city of Inverness, in the center where we could use them. And when I add up the total of the three properties, it only comes to 1.4 million. Houses in Pine Ridge sell for 1.4 million. They're not in the center of Inverness, near this courthouse, where the county could use the expanded space. So when I see that, I would like to make a motion that we accept and we do A, B, C, D, and E.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Barrick and a second by Commissioner Kennard. I'm going to open it to a public. I just have one little hiccup in your motion. I want to see how the board feels about that. My hiccup is with, let me see which one's under. I don't have my glasses on. The negotiating process. It said the middle of the appraisals, which I'm fine with. My issue is that negotiating up to the highest, I feel like then we're not negotiating at all if we say that. If we say, well, we're going to start lower and we can, and they can negotiate up higher, the negotiations start at the highest point, then that does not make any sense to me. I would like us to make some fair offers at first. If you feel like the offer's higher, that I just feel like when we put it in public, we're going to start here and negotiate up to here. That's the price you're going to pay. It just doesn't make sense to me. So
I agree with you, but I think we should just don't negotiate whatsoever. In other words, take that middle offer, and that's what we offer. If they don't want it, then they have to come back to the board and something else, because when I did my numbers, I took that middle number. Okay, and I said, okay, 1.4 million would be plenty. And I think that's a fair thing for three pieces of property in the city of Inverness. But I agree, we should not negotiate. This is what we're offering you. You take it or leave it. And if they don't take it, then we have to decide whether we as a board want to go up. And if we decide maybe the piece of land across the street that we might make into a parking lot we don't want, fine, we don't take that one. Because we are the ones spending the citizens' money, and you're right.
me with glasses out right now. Did this language change? Because in my view, I'm not finding the same language. Did you change that and someone changed that? And
No, ma'am. The
am I
language,
missing it?
I think the language that you're looking for is actually in the brief overview, where it says the steps may include initiating negotiations with a starting offer not to exceed the highest plus title search fee. So it's not actually in the
That's not what we're voting to do, though.
Correct. That's just in the brief overview. It's not in the recommended action. And Commissioner Barrick, I would say that it would be really difficult to tie the hands of those negotiating by saying they can only take the middle. Maybe you should give them a little latitude.
I guess my point was whatever latitude you give, that's where your bid is. start at the lowest bid, and I guess I would be okay, start at the lowest appraisal, and then negotiate up to the balance, because that's what it's going to be. We're out here in a public meeting. Commissioner Bass?
I think this makes sense, but here's my rub with it. We have the west side, the east side, and we have Lecanto. And we have way too much overhead. I'm just going to be really honest. We have a lot of buildings, a lot of facilities. And I think if we're going to do something like this, we have to start to consolidate. We're required by statute that we have to provide court space, judge space. We have to provide all the space for the constitutional officers. This board at some point in time, and this makes sense, particularly these surrounding buildings around the courthouse here, acquiring that, but we have to look at how we're going to build a new facility and house, take everybody from Stovall, take whatever from the sheriff. We're sitting on two prime pieces of property, one that could be potentially a boutique hotel. You could have a mixed-use development. I mean, the sheriff's office and parking is sitting on one of the most expensive pieces of land in all of downtown, taking up parking and the sheriff's office. All of these constitutional should be consolidated into one building. We need to stop spreading out. We've got maintenance, mowing, electric. We're spreading ourselves out so thin that it's costing the taxpayers, and a lot of these buildings are old and they're inefficient. We also have the building next to Publix, where the clerk of the court and I think the health department is. That's another very expensive piece of property that needs to be back on the tax rolls, and we need to figure out how we're going to consolidate these. We just rehab buildings for water utility resources, and they're moving out. We need to be looking at how we're going to redesign, respace at Lecanto and move the community resources to Lecanto and get rid of that. We've got to look at how we start to consolidate. I think this is a great idea, but the picture is longer than what we're building here. And we need to have that broader concept of where we're going, not just what we're doing in the moment, but where we're headed over the next 20, 30 years. Because as population grows, we're going to need more services. We're already required by law to give the court more courtroom space. We're already feeling the pressure, and we need to be pragmatically looking at this. I'm very frustrated when we look at the parks budget, and when we look at their budget, most of it is for mowing facilities. That's not part of the parks operation. And I think we need to do a better job at looking at how we're budgeting, where we're going long-term, and how we start to consolidate, because I think those are the scales of efficiencies that we can gain long-term. It's not something we're going to change in a year, but we have to start planning this way.
Commissioner Kennard.
Yeah, Commissioner Bays, you've been beating this drum on the annex building for quite some time, so I applaud your effort. I do think, and I've mentioned it to Mr. Howard briefly, that once utilities leaves the Lecanto government building, that's going to create a tremendous amount of square footage that we can utilize to hopefully try and clear out that annex building. Also, when the new VA clinic opens up, they'll be leaving the resource center. There's more square footage. There's already a scramble for people trying to grab the additional square footage. But I think we need to look at, I agree with our colleague that we need to look at how can we free up some other real estate to get it back on the tax roll. So, good point.
I would agree with that, but today.
Yeah, I agree.
Today we have a courthouse that's.
I'm going to support it.
Anyone else?
Chair, just to get clarification of the motion before it's completed, she did state E8 A, B, C, D, and E. I just wanted to clarify that A had a 1 or 2, so 1, I take it.
So you'd have to clarify your motion and second because it has A has a 1 and a 2, and you said A, so it could not be both 1 and 2.
It would be 1. Thank you.
Okay, any further board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E9, A and B.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
did you do public input on the last one? I don't think,
Oh, my apologies. Let me get through this one. We're on E9, A and B. Any public comment on E9, which is Life Stream Behavioral Center? Okay, board, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Did anyone have any comments on the space needs on E8? My apologies for that. And board, for that reason, if someone wanted to bring back a motion to redo the vote, I would entertain that if anything changes.
Motion to reconsider our vote.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My question is, are we talking about a city block? Are we talking about a 1/4 acre, an 1/8 of an acre? Are they within boundaries that of joining properties? Or are they spread out in Inverness? But I think, the citizens would like to know how big of a piece of property are we talking about? And so are there things on it? Are there restrictions that this property that we're looking to get, are there restrictions? Will we be able to build on it or not build on it? Just because it's here doesn't mean that there isn't something that's hidden that you commissioners may not know about. So I'm asking, how big is this property? And apparently there's 3. And are they joined so that we can utilize it, or are they spread out? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll get you some answers. Anyone else? Okay. So one of the properties is, trying to think of my direction, right here, which is known as Park Place. I actually was in that building temporarily years ago. Another property, if you remember, Little Italy, which is adjacent to the parking lot out front. And then the other piece of property would be across the street from this parking lot on the back end of, the sheriff's office has all that parking, a little bit extra parking, and then a vacant piece of property there. So every piece of property would be in direct correlation for this building to expand. Do you all have, I don't have the backup in front of me, the actual size of the properties? He was asking about the size?
We don't, I think Carl could provide it to the citizen, I'm sure, if we need.
Okay.
We can give you some information.
Yeah, Mr. Brown's right behind you, and you have that information. Okay. Board, my apologies on the public comment. Are we fine with the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Then we have an added E10 for the time-sensitive grant submission.
Motion to approve item E10.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comment on E10? Any further board discussion?
Yes. Just props to Andrew Owens. He is just absolutely crushing it and improving our waterways, the recreational part of this, seeking out grants. I'm just very, very impressed. Thank you.
Nice.
Ditto.
Any public comment on E10? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So E10 was an additional item added. It's a time-sensitive grant submission for the Nature Coast Resiliency Project. And the approval was approved Citrus County Aquatic Services to apply for the aforementioned FEMA grant, and the total amount requested $1.5 million with a county match. 25% equals $375,000 from the, General Fund Reserves Grant Match Fund that has a balance of 1.5. The reason I said because I had a phone conversation about this morning to make sure it wasn't taking from the general fund. I guess if we have the existing grant match fund, I'm okay with that, but I thought maybe this could fall under tourism dollars. Also, that was the conversation that I had this morning.
Yeah, I don't know about the tourism part, but this is out of that grant match fund that the funds
And
are
this
available.
would be the fund that's already in this current budgeted year, and we have the funds in it for a
It's sitting
specific.
there ready to go. Yep.
Okay,
That's
then
what
I'm
it's
okay
designed
with
for.
it. Okay,
That's what it was designed for.
okay. Any public comment? Any further board discussion?
Ma'am?
All, yep.
Could this have been a match through the BP monies?
I don't know that without asking. This just came to our attention the last 48 hours. So I know that's a process you have to go through, so I'd have to look at that. Not that if we could approve this today, we could explore that after this meeting. But for now, if we could just make sure we can submit this, it's very time sensitive. We could explore it.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And now we are up to Miss Veronica Campschroer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Veronica Campschroer, Special Projects Manager for Administration. Got a few of our regular updates for you, and then before I do the road updates, Mr. Howard will have a little slide. The first project that we have is the Crystal River Connector Trail pre-construction. We have received the appraisal for that, and staff review is in progress. We were hoping to bring that to you today for a decision point, but we are going to go ahead and bring that back at the 7/28 meeting to receive consensus on whether to purchase the appraised parcel. For Fort Island Trail Park Boat Ramp Expansion Feasibility Study, we did receive a draft conceptual plan on July 10th, and we are currently in staff review for that, targeting an August meeting. We don't have that date set yet, but we're looking at coming in for a landing with that halfway point study. The Halls River Multi-Use Path Pre-Construction, Phase 3, 90% design review cycle has been closed by FDOT. All of our staff input has been presented to the state, and the next step is to finish that final phase of design at the state level. Then we can start discussing construction. The Homosassa Sports Complex Feasibility Study, I know there was some discussion on this item at one of the previous meetings. We did receive that final report. I believe that the stakeholders who were interested have met with community services to discuss the results of that. And based on some of those internal discussions, we have decided not to bring that back at the 7/28 meeting. I just want to make sure we have it all together as we would like to present it to you prior to bringing that forward. So I'm looking currently at a September date, but we'll get something more clear to you as soon as possible. The landfill's new citizen service area pre-construction, the Department of Environmental Protection's land swap title commitment was received by Solid Waste, and we are just pending the final appraisal and site survey, upon which time we can get the final approval for FDEP's land swap and go ahead and start moving on the construction of the citizen service area. And I will go ahead and pause there because we do have a slide, if Reese doesn't mind pulling that up for us.
Just real quickly, just want to brag on all the good work that Public Works is doing. So what I always say, what gets measured gets done. So if you look at between 2023 and 2025, we did 174.6 miles, which are historic numbers for this county. And we're projected in 2026 alone to do 131.6 miles, which is an 83% more miles improved from 2025 to 2026, which is really amazing. And we're on track by October 1 to be completed with our road resurfacing program this year. So I just wanted to do a great shout out to all the great work Public Works is doing, Charles, Carl, and all the other folks, and also our private sector companies that are helping us achieve this goal. So thank you very much. Job well done.
Yes, that is an excellent update on the pavement management program. Like Mr. Howard said, we are on track for a September completion, so we'll be within the fiscal year. Construction is in progress countywide. I know last year I gave you updates based on miles, based on percentage completion for each district. Because of the way that these different applications are differently done in different areas, it's not just paving a mile of road. So we're just gonna let you guys know it's on track. If you want specifics on which roads and which applications are further along, or if you have questions about specifics, you can always reach out to myself or Charles, and we'll be happy to get you that information. But it is currently on track for a September completion, and all the district work, there's work happening in each district right now. We do also have our SCOP resurfacing. The only one I don't have on here is CR 39, but we do for Apopka. Phase 3 construction is in progress. We are looking at Phase 4 coming any day now. If you've driven down that road, it is smooth as butter. We've got Gospel Island. That was item E6 on today's agenda, which was approved 5-0, so that was the funding agreement for that. We can go ahead and send that signed agreement now to the Department of Transportation, start getting moving. And then we have our SCOP resurfacing for Mustang. The bid recommendation is currently under review by the Department of Management and Budget. Once they have reviewed it, we will submit that to FDOT and then await their bid recommendation. And then there is just one that was updated after the agenda. We have the inshore reef placement pre-construction, so you will not see this on your sheet. This happened after, but the restore funding approval was secured. Another great shout out to Mr. Owens. The design solicitation was posted in July, so we will be closing that solicitation period August 4th and start to see some real progress. Any questions?
Board, any questions? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Alt, you're up next.
Alexander Alt, Intergovernmental Affairs Liaison and Administrative Development Review Expediter. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. I'm just giving you a very brief update today. I see the clicker here. Very brief update today, updating you on all of our appropriations at the state and federal level, and then a very quick update on a bill that was vetoed by the governor. And let me see here. Do you have my presentation? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, then I'll just go right into it. So on the 29th of June, the governor announced at his press conference the signing of the fiscal year 2026-2027 state budget. And I think you all are all well aware of where our appropriations landed and how we fared with those vetoes or lack thereof. But I just wanted to give it kind of an official update. So the final number for the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget was $117.6 billion, with nearly 810 million in line item vetoes. So we had 3 projects that made it through the legislative process and conferencing, if you recall. They were Halls River Multi-Use Path construction phase, the Regional Public Safety Training Center, and the Chassahowitzka River Campground repairs and improvements. And so Halls River Multi-Use Path ended up getting funded at $1 million. The governor did not veto. Regional Public Safety Training Center, $1.5 million, and the Chassahowitzka River Campground repairs and improvements, $800,000. So where we go from there, we'll wait for the executive branch agencies that oversee those budget silos to reach out to us to begin the process. They'll send some forms to us that we need to fill out, and they'll begin the process of dispersing those funds. We'll keep you all updated as we go forward on all of those projects. I don't have a presentation. I keep forgetting. All right, and we'll go to the federal side now. So if you recall, in fiscal year 26, we had the Homosassa Wastewater Lift Station project. And it was funded at $750,000. The EPA has since reached out to staff and begun that same process of getting all the forms, submitted, so we can start receiving those funds and moving forward with that project. For fiscal year 27, we had submitted the Floral City Wastewater Interconnection Project. That was a request for $3,840,000 with a local match of $960,000. So far in the proposal that we've seen from the U.S. House of Representatives, we're sitting at $1.1 million for the ask. Budget negotiations have stalled right now. There's been a lot going on in relation to the SAVE Act and some of the president's priorities related to that. So we're kind of in limbo until Congress moves forward on appropriations. So we'll keep everyone apprised of what happens with all of that, but right now we're sitting at 1.1 million. We'll go from there. I've had some conversations with Mr. Cheek and his staff about trying to go forward with grant funding to make up the difference if that's where we land is the 1.1 million, but nothing yet, so we'll keep everyone posted on that. And then the one update I wanted to make as far as one of the bills we talked about earlier this year, it was HB 145 having to do with suits against the government. It was raising the sovereign immunity caps, which currently sit at $200,000 per person and $300,000 per incident. That bill would have increased it to $350,000 per person and $500,000 per incident. The governor ended up vetoing that. During that same press conference, he received a question on why or whether he was going to veto it. He confirmed he would, and he said that, we're talking a lot about property taxes right now and potentially impacting local governments' budgets. And so he said, why would I approve something that could potentially increase costs for local governments? So that was his reasoning behind it. But that's all I have for this update today. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Board, any questions for Mr. Alt? Thank you for the update.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Appreciated. Mr. Howard?
Nothing further. I did send you all an email. Since 2023, $130 million in appropriations and grants have been accomplished, not counting the appropriations we're going to get from the governor that he's already signed off on. So more is growing. So applaud staff, all the great work. We have a winning strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bays?
I have nothing, thank you. Whoops. I have nothing.
Commissioner Davis?
Had a really good TDC meeting last week. A lot of people came, so that was nice. We're getting a lot of folks that are interested in offering ideas and having a really nice collaboration, so all is well there. Unfortunately, of course, our hotel numbers are not looking as good as they were in years past. It's a statewide issue. So, but the staff is doing a phenomenal job on everything. And which reminds me, Mr. Cole, we need to circle back and talk about the district tax. So, thank you.
Commissioner Kennard?
Yeah, I'll start with M1. I think this one speaks for itself and hopefully sells itself. This is just an administrative regulation implementing an AR that would prohibit any county employee from signing an NDA as it relates to data center development. I don't know that we necessarily have an issue with this right now, but I want to make sure that this just adds another window of transparency to what's going on, that the public should know what's going on when we know what's going on. So I would make a motion that that we direct staff to prepare an administrative regulation prohibiting any county employee from executing an NDA related data center development.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Barrick. Any public comment? Mr. Bryan?
Curtis Franklin Canto. So I'm not going to talk about the specifics of this, but the question I have with you is, how is this enforced? What is the mechanism to enforce this? Because we all know administrative regulations have been here. We all know administrative regulations have been broken. What's the enforceability of this? So that's the question there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker?
Hi, pardon me, Karen Baldwin Hernando, and I'm in favor, obviously, of prohibiting county employees from signing non-disclosure agreements, but why just limit it to a data center? Why not include it to all development within the county? And along with that, I guess I need some legal advice. The way it's written, it says any county employee. Does this just include secretaries or department heads, or does it also include elected officials like a property appraiser or supervisor of elections or the sheriff or even the BOCC? Along with that, when you have a non-disclosure agreement, is there an expiration date on it if you should have any? And if there is an expiration date, if someone had signed a non-disclosure agreement in the past, Does that mean that they can now talk freely about anything that was covered in a non-disclosure agreement? Along with that, the state under 484 has indicated that non-disclosure agreements are possible and we should have them. Does that take precedence over something that you would set up here in the county? And related, kind of a distant cousin type of thing, it just come to my attention that there is nothing within the Florida statutes that require realtors to tell or expose potential clients to industrial developments. Is that something that we can address here on a local level? It might solve some of our problems if the realtors were telling people, hey, there's an industrial development that could possibly come within the next 10, 20 years or whatever, so be careful of where you want to sign for a house on the dotted line. Just wanted to put those points in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Rowena Kinchley from Inverness. I just want to reiterate that I believe this proposal should be adjusted to include any county official all the way up through the Board of County Commissioners. I do not see why it should be just data centers. I think we need to have complete transparency in everything we do. And I believe a non-disclosure agreement, which as I understand it are for life, contradict that. I'd just like you to think about that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Dee Dee Ray, Citrus Springs. So I wanted to go back to what I had spoke about previously, that how would we find out if not, who signed, if anybody signed a non-disclosure agreement prior to July 1st? How would the community find that out? And how would we find out if anybody, because it's legal, signed a non-disclosure after July 1st? How would we as a public be privy to that? And as far as the non-disclosure agreement, the motion and the vote today, we spoke to Commissioner Kennard, and thank you for today, stated that it would include all the way up to the county administrator, down to the Board of County Commissioners, and then piggybacking on what Karen is asking, who below you guys also is covered in that? And again, why is it only for data center development? Why isn't it non-disclosure for anything that goes on in this county? Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hello, Anthony Ayo. I'm a resident, born and raised here in Florida, okay? And my question is, we have a law called the Sunshine Law in the state of Florida. Why would the governor do a 484 saying that, NDAs are okay? I'm sorry, but that flies in the face, totally defying the Sunshine Law. NDAs should not be allowed in this county at all, under any circumstance, for a county, anybody getting paid by the people. We, the people, should have complete transparency with the government that we employ. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Anyone else would like to speak on this item? Okay, I'll close the public portion. I don't know if someone wants to answer some of the questions. Commissioner Barrick?
Okay. I think I spoke a little too fast. I wanted to say that we have the non-disclosure agreement for any NDA agreements. I don't want it just for data centers. I want it for any. And I don't know how I could take back what I said because I seconded it, correct?
I guess you would either withdraw your motion or amend your motion.
Well, then I'm going to withdraw mine because I wanted to say for any NDA
I'll second
agreement.
You made the motion.
I made the motion.
I'll second it.
He made the motion.
So you're withdrawing, you're a
I'm
second.
withdrawing my second.
Okay, so.
And I'll explain why when I have an opportunity.
Do you have anything further, Commissioner Bird?
Nope.
Commissioner Davis?
I would, with the board's pleasure, have Mr. Howard confirm or deny what my belief system is on this. We have very little business tax receipts, meaning real estate taxes, not just the business tax. We have very, very little land that is being used for non-residential in our taxes. We have to get jobs here. We have to get more clean businesses here. A lot of those want to have private conversations with staff and/or with commissioners. I personally have never signed an NDA, and I've been in this job for almost 6 years. So typically it's going to staff, not so much commissioners. Be that as it may, even if it's a votable item, it is going to come to the board. I am very happy to support the data center because that's an entire category that I find to be rather fraught with risk for our nature coast. So that's why I would support this, but not for other types of businesses. Mr. Howard?
I think you had some good points, yeah. So I'd prefer not to sign anything personally myself either, if I could avoid it. But there are some circumstances maybe, and I don't know what those could be, that you have to sign those at some point. But I think this is a good move, I think, for that. And actually puts us in a better position with data centers and things like that. But I'd have to look to legal, if there's any other things that we'd have to sign some NDAs for related to other things. But I'm open to whatever the board wants, and we'll follow through.
And to reiterate, the train will have not left the station just because any of those discussions may or may not happen. It would still, if it's a votable item, going to be out in the public with full disclosure on everything before we vote. Make sense? So, again, data centers, I'm very happy to support. Not support, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry, it's been a couple of days. I got very bad news Sunday morning, and I'm still struggling a little bit.
Commissioner Kennard.
Yeah, I did meet with a small group of folks this morning and told them, I'll tell the general public now, in putting this agenda item together, I'd consulted with county administrator as well as with legal. The only two people in the county or in county government that can sign an NDA are the board chair and the county administrator. Both of those will be covered by this. So neither you, what you wouldn't do anyway, nor you will be, if this passes, will be able to sign an NDA as it relates to data center development.
Would you want to just stand behind that, and would you want to clarify your motion just to add that language in there, like what you just stated? And by the way, I've never signed an NDA while employed here.
I don't know if we specify, though, does that, I don't want to leave a window for anybody else. I think all county employees.
I do consider myself a county employee because we get paid by the county.
Yeah.
We all have the county employee badges.
Maybe we can check with our legal.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, if you wanted to just broaden it to say employees and elected officials, that would cover absolutely everybody. I think you're covered already under employees, but if, in an abundance of caution, if you wanted to add elected officials?
So my question with that would be, does that tie the hands of the constitutional officers?
No.
Okay.
Administrative regulations are only applicable to county, to the county, within the county, not any of the constitutionals.
I suspect there's a lot of stuff the sheriff wouldn't want other people to know about that he's talking about.
The sheriff has the beauty of being an individual, so he doesn't have to have a board
Okay,
approval.
yes, we can, I would modify my motion to include elected officials.
And I modify my second.
Okay, clerk, you've got that? Commissioner Bass, did you have something? No. Okay, your light's
And
on.
this will come back as an administrative regulation for you.
Okay. Board, anything else before I call the vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. M2.
All right, board members, this one's a lot more fun. This is actually resident-driven a number of months ago. There was some, quite a crackdown on enforcement on the golf carts, low-speed vehicles, all of that stuff out in Crystal Manor. A number of folks reached out to me. I'm sure that y'all got emails as well. We had a meeting with them over at the library in Crystal River and discussed possible paths going forward and what that looked like. That didn't gain a whole lot of traction. The folks out there have been used to driving their golf carts on those roads for a number of years. And so I'm just hoping that we can have a reasonable discussion about this. I understand the hesitancy to put any public funds on the line for a study, which I'm not too crazy about anyway, but I think this is a unique situation, and I'm going to tell you why. I was here, I believe, shortly after, I don't recall if I was on the board yet, when the county paid for the study for Homosassa. I've answered an email about this, and the person I was corresponding with didn't believe that the two were comparable because Homosassa has tourism. It's a tourism destination. It wasn't the tourists that came and asked for it, it's the residents. To be able to legally utilize their golf carts on county roads down there that comply with the state statutes. Ultimately, the county did pay for the study and put the signs up down there, and the folks in Homosassa are absolutely thrilled with their golf carts. And while there have been a couple mishaps, it's been relatively few compared to the number of carts that are actually on the roads down there. After that point, the county administrator and staff, I don't know that the board actually made a decision, I just don't recall, that if a community wanted to be golf cart friendly, that community was going to have to pay for it themselves. They got to pay for this study. Now, it's important to note, it's important for the board and the public to understand, this engineering study is not required by state statute. It's not a requirement. This is something that county staff wants to cover the county, to protect us. So we've got something to fall back on should somebody, drive a golf cart, like down Homosassa. I know there's one instance where a guy took a golf cart beyond where he was supposed to go, ended up getting hit by a car. Now, thankfully, he survived, had some injuries and so forth. He stood right up here and told us he was at fault, and he took full blame for it. But this study, the up to $57,000 study, is not required by Tallahassee. Okay, that's something we're implementing. I will tell you that my own community, Dixie Shores, came to me, I don't know, several years ago, maybe a few years ago now, and asked, what do we need to do to become golf cart friendly? Now, there's 4 roads in there that are all 35-mile-an-hour roads. Pretty easy to do traffic studies. There's no crashes, there's no fatalities, any of that kind of stuff. The answer that I gave them at the time was, you got to do an engineered traffic study, and this is what's involved. This is my understanding is this is the process. And the folks who came to me out there said, never mind, we're going to skip it then. We don't want to go through all of that to get there. So even in my own community, I did not bring that to the board and request that the board or that the county pay for that study. Hernando County, interesting enough, just recently passed or approved a golf cart friendly community out in Hernando Beach. One of the roads out there, the speed limit exceeded what the state statute allows. So they they went as far as designating that stretch of road as a business district so they could lower the speed limit and then ultimately make it a golf cart friendly community, which they did. I've spoken with one of their commissioners down there, and his goal is to do this county-wide for each of the communities that have roads that meet the specifics of the state statute. Now, they haven't gone that far yet, but I can tell you that down in Pasco County, down Newport Richey, they have expanded it. Hernando County has expanded it. Hernando County did not do an engineered traffic study for Hernando Beach. They took care of it in-house. They analyzed the roads. They looked at the crash data. It made sense, and they put the signs up, and now the folks down there are very excited about that. That brings us to Crystal Manor. Crystal Manor was developed, platted, all of that in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't have the exact dates. But it corresponded directly to the growth of the nuclear, the whole energy complex, the nuclear power plant and 2 additional coal plants out there. As that facility was growing and expanding, this development out there was platted. People made investments. People started buying homes. The idea was we were going to have hundreds of people working at this expanded energy plant, and they could live right there by the power plant, very close to it. As we all know, then came the infamous repair that went awry and killed the nuke plant. Then years later, the 2 coal plants shut down, dramatically decreased the number of workers out at the Duke plant, and then ultimately decreased the number of people that were going to be buying and building homes out in Crystal Manor. That's what I think makes this community unique, and that's why I chose to bring it forward and ask for the funding. They suffered a unique harm that Dixie Shores didn't suffer, that Citrus Hills didn't suffer. Everybody took a little bit of the beating when the nuke plant shut down, but not like, it was not as intimately tied to the Duke Energy Complex as what Crystal Manor was. FDOT, for those on the MPO board, you know that FDOT for years now has been emphasizing multimodal transportation. Ultimately, it's about giving people the freedom to choose how they're going to move around in their community safely. If we artificially place barriers in their way, people are stuck getting in their cars, driving down to their neighbor's house, or getting in their cars and driving over here for whatever get-together there is. All this does is give people the freedoms to choose. I want to hop in my cart and go down there. I'm not looking for the side-by-sides or the off-road vehicles or all of that kind of stuff. The low-speed vehicles defined in state statute are very specific. Getting people out of their house, away from their screens, visiting their neighborhood, visiting their neighbors is a much healthier alternative for folks. What I would suggest, this was a misprint in the agenda item that unfortunately I missed it when I approved the agenda item. The funds for this, I believe, should not come out of reserves. They should not come out of the general fund, but should come from that Duke Special Projects Fund. I think, again, this community was closely tied to Duke, and I think this is a good use for that up to $57,000 and get them approved as a golf cart friendly community. I will tell you, of all the roads in this very, very expansive community, and I've driven, if not every one of them, much of them, or many of them, there's one road there that's over the speed limit allowed by state statute. We're not changing that. The engineering study ultimately will allow crossing that road, but they won't be able to drive down that road. The crossings will be identified with signage, just as over in Crystal River or Homosassa has the appropriate signage. They would be able to cross over that road. They wouldn't be able to go down it. There's no additional infrastructure needed beyond the signage. It's not going to be golf cart paths. It's not going to be eminent domain, getting additional, there's all kinds of wild ideas out there about how the costs are going to explode for the county. It's not that at all. It's an engineering study. Again, I'll reiterate that is not required by state statute, but is a hurdle that we've put into place for these different communities. And then the signage to tell them this is where the golf cart community stops. This is where it stops on this end. So I would make the motion that we approve item M2, A, and B.
Second. I do have a question, though.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Before we move on, just because I've had a lot of interest, I'm just gonna throw this out there, see if I can get you to think a little differently for now. I think that if this motion passes, you mentioned Dixie Shores, Homosassa wanted their boundaries extended, Chesawiska, people have been calling what the whole area and that, and I've been telling them the same thing. We can't pay for this. It will explode. Citrus Hills, I'm sure, other developments, everybody. You know, county's paying for it, why not me? I don't think that's a good idea, and I can't support that. But here's what I want to throw out to you. I'm listening to you when you're saying the state doesn't require this, the county does. And I understand why we do. A lawsuit to the county, if God forbid something happens, we at least have something to say. We had this study done, you know, people sue for whatever anyway. What if, for the county, we all come up with, get staff's help, some criteria? If this is too expensive for our communities, but it makes sense, maybe the criteria is under a certain speed limit, how roads cross or don't cross. Obviously, it's just slow speed golf carts, not the others. What if we had criteria in place that people have to meet? I think importantly, criteria should be number of property owners that want this. Because like I told a very nice man in Chesawiska who has emailed me a lot, I said, you know, first you have to start with getting your community buy-in. One person can't decide this. Now, you said you met with a group of people. The community's a lot larger than that.
Agreed.
So let's just play out this scenario. We have a large neighborhood. People don't want any golf carts, but one very wealthy person said, I want it. I'll go ahead and pay the county for the study, right? Says to whatever commissioner, yeah, the community wants this, I'll pay for the study. We say, that's great, we come here. Community may or may not get wind of it, and it passes, but nobody wanted it. I think the criteria should be for traffic, the criteria should be a certain percentage of the people that live there, and then apply to us. That makes much more sense. It's not, the costs aren't affecting the taxpayers. It's not overburdening a certain community. We give an avenue for this to happen, and we get some protections on the legal side. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, Siobhan? Well, I'll tell you, first of all, the meeting that we had at the library was a full house. That was standing room only. So it's not as though there are a handful of people that are interested. Walt can back me up on this, that it was literally a full house. I understand the criteria you're talking about, and we can establish all of that, but that still doesn't get us past the engineering study that we're putting in place. A community to raise, I think we can all agree that.
I'm just going to interrupt you because I think you misunderstood. I'm saying our criteria in place of the expensive engineering study. So we have some of those safety criterias in place. So if a neighborhood meets our criteria, one of those being a percentage of the interested parties, we wouldn't need the engineering study because you said it's not necessary from the state. The county needs criteria to fall back on. So if we have our own criteria.
I don't, and I like that idea, but I don't think staff is going to sign off on it. You know, I presented what Hernando County did. Now, Hernando County has, I don't know if they have, what the qualifications of their engineer on staff are, but they did it in-house. I don't believe, I have not heard that our staff is willing to do that, this is the route that they want.
With all due respect, and I love our staff, I don't know that they're the ones to make a decision of how we accept these golf cart communities or not. I would want to hear from them because we're kind of just discussing this now about safety, what their concerns would be, but I think it's a broader discussion. So I can't support it like this today. Even out of the special project fund, that's taking from other projects in the county for one community. I want to help them get there. There is a path there for many of these communities, but to give it to one, and I think there's going to be a whole lot of other ones, I can't support that today.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Davis.
As I said, I had a question after I'd seconded.
My apologies, ma'am.
I seconded it for the sake of discussion and because you are my esteemed colleague and I know you did your homework on this. And you made a very good argument. And I may still support it, but I have an idea. These are to, these are all registered road vehicles, right? The golf carts, do they have seatbelts, tags, et cetera, or no?
It is the low-speed vehicles allowed are defined by statute. Now, whether or not they have to be the golf cart has to be a street legal cart, that I'm not positive, but it is very well defined in the state statute. I don't know if they have to have a windshield with a windshield wiper, side view mirrors, all the turn signals, stuff like that, the seat belts. They can't exceed a certain limit. I'm just not. I've read a number of definitions. I'm just not sure if the statute requires that. I know there's limitations on it. I'm just not.
Where I'm going with this is that I would assume and maybe there is a mechanism for this, even if it's not, I've never owned a golf cart, so I have no idea what I'm talking about here. But is there some mechanism whereby golf carts get registered with the county only if they are street legal or all of them? And if there is, we could potentially, I don't know, I'm spitballing here, have an additional bump in all golf cart registration to help pay for a countywide neighborhood by neighborhood additions as neighborhoods come together and say, we want this.
Yeah.
It's just a thought.
Yeah, that, I don't know. I think you'd probably be implementing a process that likely is not in place at this time.
Mm-hmm.
There is some type of process out there where people can get those side-by-sides, that type of thing. Pretty comprehensive that they have to go through,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think they qualify as an LSV though, because they certainly go faster than what low-speed vehicles are allowed to.
Oh, I've had some ATVs running around my neighborhood before.
Yeah, this isn't, but I had somebody email me, and, it's just misunderstanding from misinformation that circulated. But they were wondering if this was just an avenue so that people could get their quads and side-by-sides to go on private property and go ride private trails. And it's not that at all. That's still against the law. It's not that at all. So this is just to allow the low-speed vehicles as defined by the state statute.
Well, they're already running around my neighborhood,
Yeah.
the golf carts. So I'm not sure. I want to support this, maybe not today. I'd really like the opportunity to talk to staff more and really get into this, because I think that we need to have a framework to add on other communities as they want it. Mine included is probably going to want it.
Right.
And really look at the framework for that, because worst case scenario, we could look at saying, okay, we're just going to have it as a way of moving through this, that we'll do one new traffic study a year with the Duke Special Projects Fund, for example, okay, to make it fair that everybody has a shot at it. I think that having some sort of mechanism whereby the community speaks as a percentage, or 100% in favor, or there's one lone holdout, and
Right.
we've heard from 60% of the neighborhood or whatever. Can we think about the mechanisms? Because you made a really good point about the special nature of that community and how they were really damaged more than anyone else by Duke. And so I want to do right by them, but I also think that we can make this so much larger, because it's going to continue to grow, the demand.
Well, given that two of you have at least expressed an interest in furthering the conversation, I would be willing to withdraw my motion, and let's expand the conversation with staff and see where we can go. I did have a conversation with a local engineer here that does a lot of traffic work for FDOT and so forth. And he felt like it was possible to develop one study or one set of criteria for allowing this in communities, and then each community would just add, an addendum, add information that's pertinent to their specific community, identifying roads, crossings, things like that. But the verbiage of it, the requirements, all that kind of stuff would be one document that could cover any of the communities in the county that could potentially qualify to do something like this. So
That's great. Essentially, I liked your idea so much, I said, let's make it bigger.
great, I like it.
Discussion between yourselves without asking him? Or does he just, because he took his motion back, we're not gonna do discussion? Because I had a lot of things I wanted to say. I really
Okay,
did.
well, so if you're asking about the public, there's no motion on the table, so,
Are we
but,
do an open discussion?
well, we'll have open to the public, but
No, I
Commissioner,
mean, we do an open discussion here so that I can get my things out.
please, yes.
All right, number one,
I'm sorry,
We
the
are-
motion is withdrawn?
yes.
Yes.
we'll just have an
Commissioner
open
Kennard
discussion.
withdrew his motion.
Did you?
Is the second withdrawn as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll just have an open discussion about our feelings about bringing this forward a second time later down the road.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, number one, this is Citrus County. We are not the villages. We are not set up for golf carts. If so, Citrus Springs would love golf carts. Believe me, we have enough garbage roads that we deserve golf carts, okay? But for the county to pay for the study, that's wrong. The county has it on the books, we have it on the books as a board, saying that any traffic engineering study is paid for by the little division, okay? So I am sure we could try and get 57,000 from Citrus Springs folks, and we could get it overnight. I mean, it would really be simple. And we have been hurt by the county with our road situation. Okay? You're talking about a large area, this Crystal Manor. Okay, golf carts are not registered currently. So we don't collect any money in payments to help with the sheriff. Golf carts nowadays, you go see a golf cart and how many times do you see a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, no driver's license out there, and they're dangerous? And it may say 25 miles an hour. You shouldn't be driving the golf cart 25 miles an hour. They are a golf cart. They are supposed to be on a golf course. Okay, so, it's nice to say stuff to people, but it doesn't affect you until you hit the golf cart or the golf cart hits your car. It's nice that you're paying attention to what I'm saying. So, this is what upsets me the most. You're putting your things away while I'm trying to go over things about something you brought up. Okay?
you're on my good ear side, I'm listening.
Okay. Well, it's amazing to me how you talk to people in your community, which is good, and you come up with an idea. We have roads. Roads are for cars that are registered, motorcycles that are registered, not ATVs and not all other vehicles. And Homosassa was a different animal when it was done. Homosassa has a specific little tiny area. It's not a big area where they can drive the golf carts. Okay? Crystal River has their own little separate area. They cannot go do this. They can only use, and then I don't know how it got brought up and who brought it up because I'm not sure because I don't remember. But then we have Davis Reserve to go across 486. Just wait. When those houses come in and the first accident happens and the second accident happens, it's going to. It's not, it's going to be, there. And then you're going to say, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Now, they paid for a traffic engineering study, okay? And they don't even have the houses built yet, but they paid for a traffic engineering study because that's the rule. There are rules in place, and we need to start following rules. It's amazing to me how some people decide they're in charge and they can do whatever they want. I'm trying to follow the rules, and I do not see us being the villages or Hernando. Okay? Hernando is Hernando. There's another person in charge down there. There's 5 different commissioners. They could do what they want. That's their county. But I have heard from a lot of people over the last couple of days, because it got posted on the internet as to what you were bringing up. And when I got more people saying, don't. It is dangerous. It is extremely dangerous to allow people. You may say, yeah, 25 miles per hour, but that's awfully fast when you are in a golf cart that doesn't have any doors, okay? And people can fall out as you go around a corner if you're going 25 miles an hour. Little kids aren't strapped in. I mean, go and see how they're driving. So I will never be for any of this, because we are not set. We don't have the side of the road. The villages have a separate lane for the golf carts. Okay, we don't have any of that. Now, up in Citrus Hills, they have golf carts. It's a gated community, and they have a separate lane. So yeah, they are set for that, and they are set for that reason, because it is set up for that. The rest of our county is not set up for anything that I can see doing this. So you may bring it back as many times as you want, and I will still say no.
Anyone else? Commissioner Bays.
Madam Attorney, is it possible, as opposed to having a traffic study, can you get there through an ordinance?
I would like to draw y'all's attention to packet page 1154. It's 316. So much of the regulation of vehicles is retained by the state, and the county is preempted and only given very little authority with regard to vehicles. So the minor authority that they've given you is they say that the county can regulate these golf carts and low-speed vehicles. However, before you regulate them, you have to make a legislative finding. And that is what's requiring the engineering study, is that in order for you to make that legislative finding, you have to have facts upon which to make that finding. And so in the statute, it says, prior to making such a designation, the responsible local government entity must first determine that golf carts may safely travel on or cross the public road or street, considering factors, along with what Commissioner Finnegan was talking about. The factors are included in the statute that you have to consider. You may add more, but you have to at least consider these. And those factors are speed, volume, and character of motor vehicle traffic using the road or street. So the reason that staff has suggested that you need an engineering study is that you have to make those findings. So it's not that you can do an ordinance that would override that. It's you all have to make the determination, and if you feel that you're qualified to make that legislative finding, then you wouldn't need the engineering study.
Volume, sounds like that's the issue.
It's speed, volume. I'm sure engineers would tell you there's a lot more that goes into it than that, turns, curves, curbing, non-curbing. I'm not an engineer, but I think that they would tell you that there are the things that go into the study. But if y'all don't want to do a study, you certainly have that prerogative. You just have to make that legislative finding that it's safe based upon those things.
Staff is out there cringing right now. Sorry.
Well,
to
no, they
all
just
of you.
don't want to sign off on it because they're licensed. Engineers are licensed, and they don't want to sign off on things that they aren't
I
comfortable with.
understand. Commissioner Kennard, then my apologies, because that may not be an avenue for us.
What's that?
I said my apologies to you because that may not be an avenue to us. I was thinking if it was regulated, streets looked a certain way under a certain speed, but I don't know that they can. We could bring it back for a conversation.
Yeah, I think let's take a look at what, I'm sure Hernando County isn't the only one that removed this barrier from a specific community. And like I said, they're trying to do it countywide.
Commissioner Bays.
I mean, this is happening all over the state, and let's be honest, the more, if we have neighborhoods and we can keep people in some vehicle that has less weight, we're not putting the wear and tear on our roads. Do we need some boundaries around it? Of course, hours, age, licensing, make them register low vehicle speeds, and then set the speed limits within the subdivision. They have to have a VIN number, they have to be licensed, they have to have a state registration, they have to have insurance. I think there's a madry of ways that we could get there, and they assume the responsibility because it is happening across our state. And if we can get these heavier vehicles off of our roads, we have less wear and tear, which means we have a savings of paving.
Anyone else? Commissioner Barrick.
When I listen to what you're saying, Commissioner Bays, it sounds nice, but that means we're gonna have to make another lane on our road, or we're gonna have to make a multimodal sidewalk or pathway or whatever on all our roads, because if you take all our PUDs that we are approving, they have one entrance and one exit to get onto our main roads. And when they get on our main roads, you're on a 50-mile-an-hour road, a 55-mile-an-hour, a 45-mile-an-hour road. So if they're only gonna use it in their community, that's not gonna help, because their roads are no longer our roads, because we have set the parameter that they have to maintain their roads now in their own PUDs. So to me, that would not be a beneficial thing for our county, okay? Because they're gonna take them onto our main roads. And then if you put a golf cart on a 50-mile-an-hour road, that to me is very dangerous, unless we change all our roads to 25 miles an hour because we put golf carts on them.
Commissioner Barrick, that was the full intent. It was to say that they would only be allowed on roads of a certain speed limit. That's the
Then they would not help the county, because only the
within a subdivision. That's the whole.
The subdivision has to maintain itself. We don't have anything to do with maintaining a subdivision anymore, because we're not accepting any roads.
But the ones that need work are the old ones that we did accept, mine included.
Right.
Well, one thing I know for sure, commissioners, is that we don't have all the information that we need. Staff would probably need to provide a lot of input. So it sounds like whether this moves forward or not, it's worthy of a conversation, a further conversation. Sure. There's very interested people in the public, probably in several neighborhoods, and then there's some people in other neighborhoods that probably don't see the need for it at all. So if the community wants to talk about it, I think that we should do a little homework and bring it back.
If we have got the ability to remove a hurdle and expand people's freedom in deciding the transportation they want to use in their community, I'm on board 100%. The fewer government hurdles, the better. And this study, while I wasn't going to fight the study, is an unnecessary hurdle. The statute is specific. There are things that need to be met, but I believe that we can get there without needing an engineering study for every single community in the county to be able, for the ones whose roads qualify. So I'm wide open to additional talk about it.
We'll call this one to be continued.
You got it.
Okay, Commissioner Barrick, you're up.
All right, let me find my sheet of paper a second. There we go. Okay. I need to correct my statement from the budget meeting that was held, since I have updated information, okay? Yes, there were 415 vehicles, that's what I was told. But I now have more accurate update of the information. I'm also going to be setting a meeting with the fleet director, and I've already set that so that I can understand better why all of these vehicles are needed. So let me explain something to you. The county fleet has 415 motor vehicles, which are odometer-equipped assets that are actively managed through the county's fleet replacement program. These include more than passenger vehicles and light-duty pickup trucks. It encompasses a wide variety of specialized equipment essential to the county's operation, including, and see part of this, and I didn't, it includes fire apparatus, ambulances, road maintenance trucks, stormwater, wastewater vacuum trucks, dump trucks, debris removal trucks, equipment transportation vehicles, utility body trucks that support infrastructure maintenance and more. Not all the fleet assets are funded through the county's general fund. Of the 415 replacement managed vehicles, approximately 240 are supported through dedicated enterprise or other restricted revenue sources, while approximately 175 are funded through the general fund. The county's entire fleet is approximately 700 assets, not 415, but 700, including motor vehicles, trailers, slow-moving vehicles, such as utility vehicles, side-by-sides, and other mobile assets. So I wanted to make sure that you understand, I did make an incorrect statement, and I wanted to correct it, and I wanted to read it exactly the way it was sent to me from the county. And I am going to meet with the motor vehicle person, the fleet person, next week, and we're going to go over exactly what's going on and why we have so many. But some of them are enterprise, and some of them are general fund.
Thank you. Board, I just want to update you. I attended the Veterans Advisory Board, as I do through all the meetings, and update you. June was a record month, and July is set to be another record month. So if you are out there and you're a veteran and you need assistance, please know that we have a fantastic veterans team that the county employs. It's a small office, but they do great and mighty things out there. Many of our veterans and our staff meet regularly with different veterans, and some of those veterans also sit on advisory boards for our congressmen. They help them get benefits that they're having difficult with and achieve some things. Sometimes the widows don't understand or know how to receive benefits, so our team's just doing a fantastic job. Want to let you know that the numbers have been record numbers, and what a great job they're doing. And that puts us to County Attorney Denise Steinman-Lynn.
Thanks. I sent you all a document that talks about low-speed vehicles and golf carts. It's very informative in your emails.
Thank you.
In addition to that, I've got P1, which is our attorney, Cindy Townsend, is requesting an opportunity to have a shade meeting in the case of Hofelt versus Citrus County Board of County Commissioners. And we're asking that that be scheduled on July 28th at 10 a.m.
Just need a motion for that?
Yes, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bays, second by Commissioner Barrick. Any public comment on P1? Any further board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, it's time for open to the public. Remember the rules, 3 minutes. You have 5 if you have a letter on file. Please notify the clerk. What the clerk says is gold. She will be the final decider. And you may come to the podium. Yes. You've already filled one out. You do not need to fill one out again.
Yes, this whole thing with the cement plant.
Please in the microphone.
This whole thing with the cement plant seems to be thrown back to code enforcement. I know when they called me, they told me about the times that they had been out there and what they had found and so on and so forth. I don't know how long they were out there because it's not a continuous noise. There's different levels of noise. Sometimes you may go out there and there'll be no noise whatsoever. But it takes a little, that's why I asked you guys to come out and sit with me and have coffee, to give it some time so that you can hear the different levels. Now, it's really, I don't see it as a code enforcement issue per se, because the noise is very loud at times. So that could be, that is part of code enforcement. It's a compatibility issue. How can that cement plant be compatible with no buffer zones right smack next to residential areas? And I mean, it's right on the state trail, right on it. And the noise that goes on is just unbelievable during the, so, you know, you're saying code enforcement to go back out there. Yeah, they can go back out there if they go at the right time they're going to hear the noise like he figured 93 decibels at 3 o'clock in the morning. But if they go out there at 4 o'clock in the morning and there's nothing going on, they're not going to hear any noise. So this is what I'm getting at. We have to live with this. Not only is it us having to live with this noise on a daily basis, 5 days a week. Thank God we have Saturday and Sundays off. Okay, 5 days a week we go with this noise. But if we go to sell our property, we're going to have to disclose this. It's going to be it's affecting the value of our properties. That's another issue that needs to be considered. I'm asking you to please check the compatibility. Is it compatible to the neighborhood and to the state trail? That's what we're asking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, for the record, can we please get his name?
Sir, could you come back up to the podium and state your name and where you're from for the record, for the clerk?
Madam Chair?
My name is Orlando Lopez, 5371 North Highland Park Drive, Hernando, Florida, 34442.
Thank you, sir.
Just a quick question for Mr. Howard. If we can prohibit garbage trucks from traversing county roads before 6 a.m., why can we not prohibit this plant from operating through the middle of the night? I mean,
That was my point with code enforcement.
I
Yeah.
mean, even if it's, if there's nothing on the books, can we put something on the books to prohibit those operations, throughout the night? That seems like something.
I'll talk with staff immediately tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kennard. And my point was because one of us, if we're having coffee and we hear the noise, we don't have the power to open up an investigation. We would just have to then give it to code enforcement. And I understand you're saying, look at compatibility, but at this point, it's zoning. If a business is zoned correctly, and I think that was Commissioner Davis who left her point, like I can't come have coffee with you and go, yeah, this is terrible. But if they're in the correct zoning, I don't have the power to say, sorry, I don't find this compatible. So whatever your zoning was, I have the power to remove that. I wish I did. I would help you.
Yeah, but there's no buffer zone.
I understand.
It may be compatible with.
I can't. I'd be happy to talk to you later, but I'm not allowed to talk to you like this. But I would love to talk to you later, or even after this meeting.
Robert Schultz, 5400 North Alabaster. I think what Mr. Lopez is saying is when you're saying it's the zoning, well, maybe it shouldn't have been approved. Maybe it didn't go right through the right channels to approve it. That's one of the points. Second of all, the noise studies that were done in 2025 were incorrect. And I approached the county code enforcement and told them what they did was incorrect. And guess what? They agreed. It wasn't done per standard of where it should be by the property lines. So any of those ones that were done in 2025 are not valid. The one that was done in 2026 was for 2 10-minute periods when a group of approximately 20 people were out there and they basically shut the plant down. So you have 2 10-minute studies for this year that basically what good were they? And I told the county, well, you could see what they did. They shut it down. So I have to agree with Mr. Kennard. If you don't allow any other businesses to make noise, why are they exempt? What gives them to trump our rights as property owners to make noise basically when they want? And if a business is permitted, it's okay. So you do 1 study, 2 studies, 3 studies. It's not enough. Nobody here is delusional. We don't hear things and just make things up. So what I'm saying is, if a business starts, do they get exempt the rest of the time? Or, in other words, oh, we did a study on it, it's fine, okay, they'll go about their business. I mean, industry is good, and I agree, you need industry, but it's got to be done properly. And it can't be done at the homeowner's expense. That's what I object to when I hear about industry. You cannot throw everybody else's rights out the window just because an industry comes. If a data center or a concrete plant or any other business, people still have rights, I believe. So we're only asking nothing out of the normal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker?
Dee Dee Ray, Citrus Springs. What he's talking about is, this is a small scale. I mean, it's not a small scale, but it is a small scale project. And these individuals are complaining about the way this came about. I didn't know about this concrete plan until I drove down the road, and it's like, what is this? Didn't hear anything about it. Where did this come? Were the public involved in this? What happened? So I'm listening to these individuals, and I'm thinking, this is a concrete plant. What happens when a data center comes in and we don't have the right buffering? Do we have to go through this? This is what we're concerned about. I feel sorry for them because this got slipped in and we didn't have any input about it, obviously. But a data center, this is what we're going to have to deal with. Exactly what he's talking about, buffering and sound. And you guys are going to go, it is what it is, sorry. We have to really be really careful on this rezoning of any project, and we need to have the public input for this. This is craziness. As far as the Economic Development Director, I heard Commissioner Bay say that we don't want development or overdevelopment. That's not true. And then we hear Commissioner Barrick. So anyway, we did away with the Economic Development Director position. And then I hear Commissioner Barrick saying, we don't have industry. You're right, we don't have industry. So we do need an Economic Development Director to bring industry and work in. So I don't understand how there's a disconnect between a couple of commissioners here. As far as the landfill assessment, I pay Flash Trash to come pick up my trash. And I think Flash Trash is contracted with the county, right? So don't they pay per ton to use the landfill? So why are we having to pay an increase for something that I don't use the landfill, and if I do, I'd rather be charged per visit. But I'm already paying for my trash. I don't know why I'm having to pay for another landfill when Flash Trash is contracted with you guys and paying anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just make one correction before people start stacking up. The plant that they're talking about did not come before this board or any board. It was not approved by the board. It was old zoning. It wasn't approved by any of us. So, Mr. Brown, are you the next speaker?
Yes, I am. Thank you, commissioners, again for being here to hear us out. As I stated earlier, that one of my signs was removed off of 44. Now, I know that the county is maintaining and mowing this area where my sign was, and it was by another commissioner's sign here. That commissioner had my sign removed, and so she said it was on private property. Well, I'm asking, why is the county mowing private property land? And if that's true, then we ought to put a stop to it. This is up on 44, going towards Lecanto. I had a sign next to one of the commissioners here, and she told me she had it removed. And so I want to be reimbursed $125 for that, or I would like my sign back. But if we are mowing private property, then I'd like to know why we're doing that. Why is the county's money being used to mow private property? I do want to thank you all. I think that it is a tough job. And I do want to thank you two commissioners again, Ms. Finnegan and Ms. Barak, for looking after the county. You do have this county's citizens. You are taking care of us. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you for my time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. Mr.
Chair.
Howard?
Chair, for the record, he didn't state his
Mr.
name.
Brown, did you not say your name? Just for the record, I think I said your name.
My name is Ray Brown. I live in Homosassa off of Herman Court.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There was something recently with the county, signs in the county's right of way with the complaint will be removed. Are they saving them somewhere for a
That's
period of
my
time, I
understanding.
thought?
They're at the landfill. There's an area they've designated.
Mr. Brown, you might want to go to
That's
the
my understanding.
landfill and collect your signs. They should be saving them.
My understanding, it was a private.
You can talk to me afterwards if you'd like.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Hatterley.
My name is Chuck Hudley from Inverness, and I'd like to circle back to rezoning again. Due to imposing stress on tax resources and taxpayers in general, all too cross that developers impose on our county land development staff in rezoning applications must be recorded. Public knowledge is essential and be booked out, time-stamped, that staff incur, example, site visits, computer time, email, service time at planning and development, BOC meetings, vehicle travel, everything related to rezoning applications must be billable to the developer that is demanding rezoning taxpayer. Taxpayers must not pay for any of the developers should work with current zoning rules to avoid this additional cost. The citizens see no advantage to increase high-value housing development. So return at the very least traffic concurrency, zoning and concurrency in general that require that adequate public facilities to exist before new development occurs. Developers need to include infrastructure improvements in their plans and show that their plans are not overburden existing residents and water resources. I believe there's a cost to this rezoning that is not being captured. The lawyers on that side, they're getting paid. I don't believe they're getting pro bono from the developers. They're not up there for free, and we shouldn't be up there for free to defend rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Hello, Tony Ayo again. All right, just looking on Google, trying to find out how damaging is 93 decibels. Well, after 1 hour of exposure, you have noise-induced hearing loss. You have tinnitus. You have sorry, I can't say it right. Acusis, or something like that. Overexposure can make everyday sounds feel painfully loud or intolerable. So not only do they have an issue with the sound and the inconvenience and the decrease of their home value, but now they actually have a health issue this is causing. Maybe we should look into that. Another thing, as far as studies go, I live in Pine Ridge Estates. Guess what? We had to pay for our own damn study for speeding. Collisions with horses because it's an equestrian community. We had to pay. Yes, there are golf carts on our roads. We don't approve them. We don't like them. I haven't seen one driving on Pine Ridge Boulevard. And I was like, are you crazy? You know, it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. That's a 45-mile-an-hour road, and yet they're getting on there. I'm like, I don't understand what this whole madness about golf carts are, but we need to really tamp down on it because it's dangerous. Again, they don't have the safety features. You all know about that. And yeah, there are kids driving them around my neighborhood. So I just want to let you know about all that. again, about the code enforcement thing. I called my commissioner and twice because we have an issue on Pine Ridge Boulevard. There's a house over there that has 18-wheelers parking in their backyard. I called code enforcement. PJ, I think his name is, whoever's in charge over there. CJ, PJ, whatever. Anyway, he called me back and he's like, oh, you know, but it's been years this thing's been going on. First it was 1, then there's 2, then there's 3. I'm like, are you crazy? No, this says in our county, no vehicle over 10,000 pounds allowed in your on residential property. It's not being addressed. Steve Howard, you're the administrator. Get on it. Thank you.
Mr. Ao, if you want to send an email and copy me on it, we'll take a look at that. You're welcome. Hi.
Hi, Stephen Schwartz. I hope I patched this together because I eliminated a lot of stuff because it's been redundant. But there are, if I'm correct, currently 50,000 lots already approved, which is a minimum of approximately 100,000 individuals using water in their homes, plus lawns, pools, etc. I am requesting that you put on the July 28th agenda for a vote to put a moratorium on new development for at least a year to assess the growth rate and our infrastructure, especially the aquifer. This was put on the agenda at one point and withdrawn by Mr. Kennard. This does not include individual homes or workforce housing. Water is life, and water, without it, nothing will survive. God gave us the aquifer for our water needs, the trees to help cool us on hot days, and to bind the earth's soil from raging waters. John 14:14 says, "But whoever drinks of the water I give him will never be thirsty again." Jesus the prophet answered, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God." He does not tell us to be of a specific religion. It is time to get ahead of future development and our infrastructure needs by enacting my 2 requests to be placed on the agenda. Your constituents are watching closely how you move forward and handle their desires to keep the nature coast the nature coast. It's time for you to act to protect the ecosystem and Citrus County before it's too late. Life is about choices. Ask the voters to make the choice between revenue coming from development and industry or from general public, including those coming to visit our county. It should not be placed solely on property taxes, which would cause a problem to just those alone. We can put the tax on everyone coming into this county. That would help us out tremendously. So if there's a tax on food, gas, etc., everyone that's visiting this county, not just the property owners, will be paying for this. We don't need any more development, at least now. That's why I asked for a moratorium so that we can slow down and analyze all of this before it's too late, and you will have problems, droughts, etc. And I tell you, it's going to get serious, because if you don't look at it and see it now, what's going on around the world with the weather, you will see that the patterns have changed so drastically that we can expect here droughts, not just this year, but for years to come.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
John Parliament, Ironstone Terrace, Hernando.
In the microphone. Yes, say it in the microphone.
Still John Parliament. Ironstone Terrace, Hernando.
Thank you.
I just, again, talking about the cement plant issue and going back to the original platting in 72 and 78 of the residential areas, it just, I don't know what was in place. I'd like to see what the Public Works Department manual that was used at the time that the Citrus Industrial Park was approved, what those guidelines were. And my understanding is that the comprehensive plan doesn't exempt even though the Citrus Industrial Park was platted prior to, it doesn't exempt those businesses from having to comply. I'm wondering, we referred to where the buffers are. What were the buffering zones that were applied in 87? What are the buffering zones that are now applied in 91? And are they retroactive? Do those businesses still have to comply with those? Because those take into account the noise, the sound, the air quality, the water quality. So I don't know if that's something that can be looked at. This business has been around a long time. When was the last time it was looked at? Is it up to code, environmental code, air quality code? I know that when I look at the newly built cement plant down on 41, and I look at that piece of trash that's up in our neighborhood, and I can visually see the gray splash on the state property, from the what do they call it, the washout basin. It's visible, and you see the gray trackings from the trucks, all over the road, and then that gets pulverized and goes into the air. We've also talked to the in environmental people, air and water quality. Air quality has been pretty responsive. Water quality said something like, well, they passed last year, and that's not a good answer, because I just again, I wish there was an ombudsman. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Once again.
Oh, name and where you're from.
Rowena Kinchley. I live in Inverness. I moved here from Tampa, and when I was in Tampa, I volunteered with the police department, the community traffic safety team. I represented the police department on both of those and also at city council meetings. I would walk down the street and I would get stopped and they'd go, "Oh, I saw you on TV at 3 o'clock in the morning," which confounded my friends no long. But when I moved here, I thought I had retired from work as well as volunteering. Apparently, you've probably figured out, I've come to the conclusion that's not the case. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me. But I wonder if one of the things we did in Tampa was the residents felt the speed limit was too high. And the response at city council was, well, the state law says blah, blah, blah. So we got together as residents. We proposed, and the city went, wait a minute, we can do this. We proposed designation of roads. We had neighborhood roads that were associated with a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. We had connector roads that were connected with a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. And then we had highways and blah, blah, blah. The city's concern was, you can't, it's too much money. So we set up neighborhoods. We did traffic studies. My God, the number of hours I sat at intersections watching little lines with speed limits over them. I researched 10 years of traffic studies for my neighborhood, found out that the reason we had a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit going through the neighborhood was because there'd been a detour 30 years ago on Dale Mabry, and they never changed the speed limit back after the detour ended. We came together and we made decisions on which neighborhoods to do first based on traffic accidents. We had a meeting where my neighborhood, which was at that time a very influential neighborhood, as well as the second most influential neighborhood. And I looked at the map and I was like, wait a minute. Because we had an area that was south of Gandy, there were only 2 north-south roads. The law said you had to put a speed limit sign 10 feet, I think, from the road. And I went, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, wait a minute. So we stopped the meeting, we counted the roads. We figured out that if my neighborhood waited, we could do a third of the peninsula. The other neighborhood looked at it and said, I can't argue with this. He wrote a check for his neighborhood to be paid back, and we came up with an agreement.
Thank you for your comments.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
the story, too. Thank you. Anyone else open to the public? Last call. Okay, with that, I will close open to the public. Board, any final thoughts? Okay, with that, it's 4:50 and this meeting's adjourned.